in the NDA side, but it's about the contest, it's about the battle, it's about the ideological divides which have now pervaded not just our politics but also this vice presidential battle. The candidate for the NDA, Mr. Radhakrishnan, was there at the Sri Ram Mandir in Delhi this morning before, of course, arriving in Parliament, where at 10 a.m. the voting will officially begin. Prime Minister Modi is expected to arrive in the Parliament complex at about 9:40 in the morning. He's expected to be one of the first voters in the vice presidential election, and thereafter he will head to flood-hit Punjab and Himachal Pradesh. But what is at stake in this election? Why are we here early in the morning in the studios if this election is a mere formality? Because at the end of the day, this will sharpen the political divide in the country between the NDA on the one side and the India alliance on the other. Here's what's at stake in this high-profile vice presidential battle.
नक्सलवाद जुडम को इन्होंने खारिज कर दिया। इसके कारण इस देश में नक्सलवाद 2 दशक ज्यादा चला है।
CP Radhakrishnan has a background of RSS. His RSS links can't be forgotten.
अपने पार्टी के हित में नहीं, देश के हित में मतदान करिए।
Namaste, Jai Hind and welcome. Yes, along with Zakir Jacob, we have our guests Tushar and Rashid ji, but more importantly, it's the RRR factor, isn't it? You have Mr. Radhakrishnan, you have Mr. Reddy, and you also have that they are going to be the chairman of the Rajya Sabha or the Uparashtrapati. So, should we call it the RRR? Viewers, one interesting aspect is, this is Bharatiya Loktantra or Bharatiya democracy, that at least once in 6 months we are here with a special broadcast about the elections. Some poll or the other which is of significance is happening. And in this case, it's the Uparashtrapati or the vice presidential polls, and it's happened mid-term because suddenly Jagdeep Dhankhar ji said his health does not allow him to carry on further. Perhaps the shortest send-off on social media for any leader ever came from the Prime Minister. But we'll get into all of that in a bit. But let's understand why the NDA first chose Mr. Radhakrishnan. He's an RSS veteran with BJP's ideological core, unlike Jagdeep Dhankhar. He's credited with laying the BJP's foundation in Tamil Nadu from 2004 and to 2007. He's really worked the streets for the BJP and for the RSS. The selection aligns with the BJP's Mission South ahead of the Tamil Nadu polls. Now, how much of the BJP will come and play there, and whether it is going to play second fiddle to an Edappadi Palaniswamy and the AIDMK, we'll have to wait and watch. Now, experienced governor with strong administrative record, seen as close to Prime Minister Narendra Modi since their early days, has come up the ranks, and that's why they have chosen Mr. Radhakrishnan. He is also somebody who's very, very close to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. They have also travelled together, like some of the old stalwarts who've worked their way for nearly 2 decades in the Sangh before they're making their entry even into the political sphere or the political wing, that is the BJP. So that includes the likes of JP Nadda, the likes of Manohar Lal Khattar, some very, very old stalwarts who have seen each other as pracharaks through the Sangh days, and Mr. Radhakrishnan is one of those. Now let's understand the INDI bloc. Why is it that the INDIA alliance or the INDI bloc has come out and chosen Mr. Reddy? He's a distinguished judicial career. The judge itself, his judicial career highlights integrity. That's what the INDI bloc claims. There are others who question otherwise, but that's politics. Mr. Reddy's commitment to protect fundamental rights has been underlined in his judgments, in his conduct as a judicial luminary. Civil liberties he stood up for. He is a Telugu candidate, so he counters the NDA Tamil choice, so the T versus T factor here and all in Dakshin Bharata. Then, soon seen as a champion of social, economic and political justice. Now, that is a narrative which the INDI Alliance has been trying to stitch on grounds even in the Bihar polls, where they say that they are trying to champion social justice and economic furtherance of the most downtrodden. He's worn many hats. Lokayukta of Goa, led the Caste Survey Committee in Telangana, Project Unified the opposition front, including non-members like the Aam Aadmi Party, who came aboard and said, we will back. But there are certain abstentions that reduces the entire overall size of the House. We'll talk about all of that. And it makes it for a very, very interesting VP elections. It's not just who's winning, Zaka, but it's also about how much, because this is the weakest the NDA has been in the last 11 years. And will they win the strongest when perhaps the opposition is at its strongest? Interesting.
Well, one comparison that will happen later on tonight, we're expecting the results to start coming from 6 p.m. onwards. Voting closes at 6 p.m. We're expecting the results to come around 9 o'clock. Remember, these are paper ballots. These are not machines. So the paper ballots will take some time to be counted. We have our reporters spread across the length and breadth of the national capital. We have reporters tracking the NDA candidate, reporters tracking the India Alliance candidate, reporters in Parliament. Aman Sharma is tracking the NDA candidate, Mr. C.P. Radhakrishnan. We have Sharon tracking the India Alliance candidate, Justice Sudershan Reddy. Payal, Pallavi, Arunima are in Parliament. And Arun Dhanta is tracking the former Vice President, Mr. Jagdeep Dhankhar. Aman, let me start with you first. Mr. Radhakrishnan, already a big day for him, a big morning for him before going to Parliament. He's already gone to the temple, sought blessings, and he also said that it's going to be a big victory for nationalism. Today's election result is about nationalism. Walk us through what's at stake for him and for the NDA.
Yes, Zaka, I am at the residence of Union Minister Prahlad Joshi. You can see behind me, the decorations are already up here, and this is the base of Mr. Radhakrishnan. He'll be arriving shortly here, and he'll be based most of his day at Mr. Prahlad Joshi's residence. This is also where, ultimately the victory is supposed to be announced in the evening, when the victory certificate could be handed over to Mr. Radhakrishnan. And I could earlier spot, all kind of posters inside, explaining the candidature of Mr. Radhakrishnan, his achievements. And I think this particular candidature, we had Prahlad Joshi also just come out briefly. We did record a bite with him, where he also expressed great confidence that this will be a thumping victory for Mr. Radhakrishnan. What goes in the favor of Mr. Radhakrishnan? An old RSS hand who's been a part of the Bharatiya Janasangh, who's learned his way through the RSS, joined the BJP, became the BJP's face of the South. The only BJP MP who's won a seat twice in Tamil Nadu, the Coimbatore seat. After that, he also handled the party's affairs as the BJP state president in Tamil Nadu. Before, going to these governor positions, the BJP choosing him as the governor. He's presently the governor of Maharashtra, has also served the governor of another state before this. And his tenure as the governor has been completely non-confrontational. In the last 10 years, Zaka, we have seen how governors, have been at odds with many opposition-ruled CMs, but Mr. Radhakrishnan's tenure is quite different from that. He has a very deep knowledge of constitutional affairs, also somebody rooted in the RSS and the BJP's ideology. And that is what the BJP was very particular about, that after the experience with Mr. Dhankhar, they would go with somebody who's completely in the ideology of the BJP. And that is all explaining Mr. Radhakrishnan's tenure. Zaka, what BJP sources are telling me, and here at Prahlad Joshi's residence also, that the ultimate victory margin between both the candidates will be in the excess of 100 votes. That is going to be a big margin, and that is what the BJP is looking at. The fight is, I think, Zaka, more about the numbers. The victory of Mr. Radhakrishnan is a foregone conclusion, but what the BJP is trying to do is make a statement by getting higher number of votes in its favor. Three key parties, YSRCP, BJD and the BRS, are very crucial. YSRCP's 11 MPs are voting in the favor of the NDA candidate. The BRS and the BJD, together 11 MPs again, are abstaining from this particular vote. So that is all is making the number game very interesting.
Talking about abstentions, one more party, we're getting breaking news, one more political party has decided to likely abstain from the vote today. Now, the abstentions favor the ruling party candidate because the overall strength of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha comes down. So the Shiromani Akali Dal, after the BRS and the BJD, the Akali Dal will also likely abstain from voting, which means the total number, which is currently at 770, is likely to come down even further. Arunima has got more details on this. Arunima, why has the Akali Dal decided to abstain?
See, Shiromani Akali Dal was a partner of the NDA till things went sour for them between the BJP and the Shiromani Akali Dal. But they have always been opposed to Congress's politics. So it was difficult for them to be seen siding with the Congress's choice. And the India Front leadership, even though it has not been decided, is essentially seen as Congress-led India Front. So it was quite tricky for Shiromani Akali Dal. Perhaps the same reason why BRS could not go in with the opposition-led India Front, because their adversary number one in the state is the Congress party, so they cannot side with the India Front there. Biju Janata Dal, again the same thing. So I think for all these three parties, the issue is quite simple. They cannot be seen siding with the NDA, even though in the past they have been allies, but they can't be seen siding with the opposition front as well. And these numbers then definitely are going to tilt the balance in favor of the NDA. And while these abstentions, Jaka, are only looking at the vice presidential election, I'm also looking at that queue about where the fence-sitters are going for that crucial bill which is hanging fire, which is about making a chief minister resign if he has been convicted. So if these fence-sitters are not going to side with the India Front, even for those crucial bills, the indications are very clear.
Just very quickly before I go to Anand, so how many MPs does the Akali Dal have? And Harsimrat is there, but beyond that, and how does the numbers game change? Right now, 11 abstentions of the BRS and the BJD, that takes the count to 770. If the Akali Dal further loses or abstains another couple of members of parliament, that brings it down to 768. Arunima?
Yes, so it's only Harsimrat Kaur Badal, so not much of a difference there for Shiromani Akali Dal's abstention. But they are making a point there by saying that we are not siding with either parties.
Okay, so 769 will be the final count. The exact breakdown of the numbers Anand has on the wall. Yeah.
Well, so we'll -1 and we'll just check if that number of the Akali Dal has been updated. But Zaka, to our viewers and also to our panelists in the studio, it's also symbolic. Punjab elections are not so far away. Aam Aadmi Party and Congress are going to be at loggerheads along with the Akali Dal in the fray. Is this also a signal of a thaw between the Akali Dal and the BJP and perhaps a possible return of the Akali Dal back into the NDA fold ahead of the Punjab elections? Because they make a force collectively, the Akali Dal and the BJP. Or is the BJP going to try and fight it alone? There is an eye on Punjab. It's not just that one seat, it's symbolic and it's important. Let's try and understand the numbers. The NDA currently has about 426 in all. It's looking very strong. The INDI bloc or the India bloc will have about 306. The Aam Aadmi Party adds another 12, so that number goes up to 318. But the YSRCP jumping in with the NDA, and that number is 437. So clearly more than 100 comfortably. It's nearly about 119 plus. That is very significant. Will this further consolidate in favor of the NDA? Now, look at the difference in the Lok Sabha 2024 elections between the BJP and the India bloc together. The BJP looking at its weakest, but the subsequent elections in the states and also now with the VP elections, it's perhaps underlining the fact that the NDA is as solid as ever. Couple that with an eventful 2025 so far, with direct taxes reforms, GST reforms, Operation Sindoor, so many other boxes. The NDA is perhaps looking at its strongest when the BJP perhaps has been at its weakest in the last 11 years. Big messaging that is going on with these numbers and also the VP elections, and that's why the importance of these VP elections, because how solid is the opposition, but how further solid and stronger is the government in place with the NDA, and the BJP also showing we can work very well with our allies. Payal and Pallavi, who've been tracking this very closely with us. Pallavi's been out there, Payal been out there. Payal, let me come to you before we go to Pallavi. What perhaps is the biggest messaging that the NDA wants to give to Bharat, to the world, and most importantly to the opposition? Why are these VP polls?
Well, these VP polls have been mandated because of Mr. Dhankhar's sudden resignation. But one thing is very clear: the BJP and the NDA want to send a message that we brought in a candidate who has the right credentials in place. He's been somebody who's holding constitutional post, even in opposition ruled states, and he did not, show any bias of sorts as well. I remember very clearly, almost a month or something ago, Anand, when the Prime Minister introduced CP Radhakrishnan to the NDA party leaders, He told them one thing, that he's been my friend since both of us had black hair. We've been friends since then. And let me just tell you that he's very fond of sports, but वो राजनीति में खेल नहीं करते. That means there was a silent jab that the Prime Minister had taken at the other candidates, essentially saying that he's somebody who's going to be very, very unbiased, going to be somebody who's going to be available to go by the book, to go by the constitution, and that is something which is holding in big stead as well. As far as the numbers are really concerned, that's simply not a worry as far as the BJP or the NDA is concerned. It's a united front that they want to present, but the floor managers are extremely confident that anywhere between 30 to 39 votes will come further for the NDA. Zaka knows who I'm speaking about, so I leave it just there.
Why? No, why do I know?
So now, before we bring that numbers bit, just quickly asking Pallavi about two people and their whereabouts. One is Rahul Gandhi and the other one is Jagdeep Dhankhar. Pallavi.
So how do you see the VP election? Which way is it going? Will be a big victory for Radhakrishnan?
1 minute. I think we've just got it. We've got an audio overlap with Aman. We'll just go across to who Aman is speaking with in a bit. But yes, Pallavi.
Well, okay. I mean, so Arun Dhanta has been reporting from outside that farmhouse where Jagdeep Dhankhar has been staying for a stopgap arrangement. But the big question, of course, is Rahul Gandhi. As Shireen also is reporting now, he is back. You know, the Congress party has been very mum. Normally, they jump to his defense, but this time round, they haven't. But they also do realize that this was an issue which was definitely given on a platter to the BJP. The timing was being questioned. The comparison was being made to the Prime Minister, that while the Prime Minister is going to Punjab and Himachal Pradesh, why hasn't Rahul Gandhi gone to Himachal where the Congress is in power, or to Punjab where the Congress has a very good and strong organisation and is definitely a contender and a challenger to the AAP government over there. But having said that, there was a meeting which took place of the India bloc parties. Last minute strategy was being chalked out. Rahul Gandhi was conspicuous by his absence, but he is finally back, and I'm sure the Congress leaders are thanking him for that, because it would have been deep embarrassment if Rahul Gandhi had not cast his vote today as an LOP. So you'll have both Mr. Kharge as well as Rahul Gandhi, after the Prime Minister casts his vote, to come in and vote for their vice presidential candidate.
Little faith in Rahul Gandhi. I mean, she has so little faith in his ability to show up, right? I mean, Rashid Kidwai is here. He has more faith. Rashidji?
Yeah, I think as long as he's coming and voting, if somebody, an individual goes for a holiday or has a busy social life, we should not be objecting as long as he's performing his duty. So if he's voting, coming and voting here, I think Rahul Gandhi is doing his duty as a LOP.
I mean, politicians should have a social life. What's wrong with that?
Yes, I'm all for it. That's what I'm saying. It's only my friend like Tushar, who's looking at all the various photographs on social media, who's this, who's that.
No, I'm not. No, I'm totally in agreement with Kidwaiji that politicians do need to have a social life, but I'm surprised Pallavi has the bar so low that, oh, look, he's coming out to vote. That's a huge thing. So probably tells a lot about Rahul Gandhi. But again, a social life is a different aspect altogether. However, what I don't understand is what is the Shiromani Akali Dal really up to? They are citing that neither the centre nor the Congress stood with the Punjabi people or with Punjab during the floods. But that's not correct. Even the Congress has been on the roads to some extent. Even the centre has sent relief. The Prime Minister is visiting today.
Yeah, he's in Gurdaspur this afternoon.
Yeah. So ahead of the March 2027 elections in Punjab, I really don't understand the point Shiromani Akali Dal is trying to make, because in 2022, they were routed in the state. Even Senior Badal, who's now passed away.
Look at it this way. Their two principal opponents in the state are the Aam Aadmi Party, which is the ruling party, and the Congress, and both of them are backing the India Alliance candidate. So they can't be seen as voting for that same candidate. Then what's the opposition in that state?
If you factor in the elections in Punjab, there is a lot of anti-incumbency building against the Aam Aadmi Party.
Yes.
You look at the anti-incumbency against Bhagwant Mann himself. He's been unwell. He was diagnosed with a certain disease. So all of that needs to be added up. But again, I would have expected Shiromani Akali Dal to go with the NDA candidate at least, if not with the BJP publicly. But you never know. It's a long time ahead of the Punjab election, so a lot can change.
Well, there is this addition that's just come in that NDA nominee and Maharashtra Governor C.P. Radhakrishnan has nominated Union Minister Ram Mohan Naidu and JDU MP Sanjay Kumar Jha as his polling agents for today's Vice President polling and counting. So, additional to Kiran Rijiju, who had these responsibilities, we were speaking about this in the morning. The reporter team was discussing this, that this is important messaging to keep the NDA flock together. Even Shrikant Shinde is part of the entire polling agents group along with Kiran Rijiju. Just checking with our reporters, Payal, if you're there, or Aman, you just were speaking with somebody and we heard the audio. Okay, so Arun Dhanta is there with us. Arun, you are right outside Jagdeep Dhankhar's residence. Can you just tell us why the NDA or why there are so many polling agents within the NDA? Is it to try and show that they're all united, there is no dissidence there?
No, it's Abhay Chautala's residence. Jagdeep Dhankhar happens to be the tenant currently.
Yeah, the tenant. The Chautala farmhouse.
Kiraye pe.
So, the Kiraye pe and the Jat messaging is also there. Yes, Arun.
Well, that's right, Anand. I am right outside the Abhay Chautala's residence. The gate that you see right behind me is of course, that farmhouse which is here in Chhatarpur. And last week, Jagdeep Dhankhar, former Vice President, had shifted to this residence. There is not much activity as you expect here in this area, especially the Chhatarpur farmhouse area. And in fact, there is of course a history behind this relationship of Jagdeep Dhankhar and an INLD Abhay Chautala, because he's been speaking about it, that relationship, that how Devilal, former Chief Minister of Haryana, has brought him to the politics. He was the first one who in fact gave him that ticket from Janata Party in 1989 to contest that Lok Sabha election. Then of course made him minister in VP Singh's government, later in Chandrasekhar's government. So he's been speaking about it. And in fact, when we had spoken to Abhay Chautala few weeks back, he said when he got to know that Jagdeep Dhankhar is looking for a stopover till the time he get that official residence in central Delhi, he called Jagdeep Dhankhar and he said that you're going nowhere, you're coming here in our house, and it's your house, you'll be staying here as long as you want. And now of course we're also given to understand, Anand, we're learning from our government sources that a bungalow has also been allotted to him at APJ Abdul Mar 34, I guess is the number where the work is going on, and probably very soon you will be seeing Jagdeep Dhankhar from here to shifting to that house. And also, Anand, what we are also gotten to from the sources close to VP is that nowadays he's focusing more on yoga, table tennis, and also he's watching OTT platforms. So these are the things which he's doing, which we are given to understand from the way of our sources. So this is the platform where Jagdeep Dhankhar these days is residing.
There's a nice series I'd like to recommend to the former VP. It's called House of Cards.
House of Cards.
I think that's basically how it's played out.
We just hope that we just wish him a speedy recovery, and let's hope that by the time he comes to 34 APJ Abdul Mark, he'll be far more active. What? He said he had health issues. So we have to trust those health issues, right?
Speedy recovery.
So just like politicians can have a social life,
they can have health problems also.
They can have health problems too.
Yes, we also wish him well. I hope he is well enough to speak and talk about why he resigns. And it is very important today to make a reference about it, that why we are having this vice presidential election. What was the reason? We still do not know. I mean, journalistically speaking, politically speaking, of course you are giving citing health reason, that's valid, and but a lot of people are not able to take it on face value.
That especially who are not able to take it on face value, that is, we'll talk about that too. What is official, what is political, and what is real? Is there a variance amongst the three? We'll talk about that too. But first, let's listen into what Prahlad Joshi ji has to say.
उनके गठबंधन के लोग बहुत बुरी तरह से और ज़्यादा बुरी तरह से हारेंगे, क्योंकि वाइडली डिसीजन है तो उनको तो वोट ही नहीं दे सकते हैं. कांग्रेस पार्टी में बहुत डिसकंटेंट है उस कैंडिडेट के देखे. But anyhow, I don't want to go into that detail. We are very, very confident we will win with a thumping majority.
Thank you.
So, thumping majority, very, very confident. The numbers already show at least nearly about 120 plus as the variance. If Harsimrat Kaur Badal or the Akali Dal is also now going to abstain, that number comes down. So, the overall construct of the numbers, size of the house comes down.
That's 769, so which means 385 is what they need to cross, and they have 437.
437, and compared to what they have, the India bloc has about 318. So they seem to be comfortably placed. But if those numbers will be stronger, what was Payal referring to, Zaka? Even as we say good morning to Sumant Raman, who's joining us at this point. Kailash Adhikari is with us. So what was Payal referring to?
So here's the interesting thing. This is a secret vote. So you don't know which individual member of parliament, how they've voted. Of course, political parties eventually come to know who in their flock cross-voted and so on and so forth. But ultimately, for the public to get to know, it's very hard. And there are no whips. Technically, there are no whips. So you're not violating a whip if you vote against your official party candidate or if your official alliance candidate. Payal has some information that there could be some parties within the India alliance who could, for extraneous reasons, cross-vote in favor of the NDA candidate. That's as much as I can reveal.
No, but that number is in double digits.
Also, there are 15 who are undecided. So again, we don't know. These are some nominated members of parliament, etc. We don't know which way they will vote. So there's 15 who are still undecided, presuming that a lot of them will go with the government. I think the interesting number to see is whether the India bloc candidate gets less than 318. That means some cross-voting has happened.
Some cross-voting has happened. But then, Kailash Adhikari, it's also possible that the NDA candidate could get less than 430. So is it possible that there could be some cross-voting the other way too?
Possibilities are always there, but I don't think so that's the reality. And as you rightly said, Anand and Zaka, both in the morning, that the numbers are quietly stacked up in the favor of the NDA and by a huge margin. And for anything for the tables to turn, it requires a huge tide, which is unlikely to happen. And this is how, in the case of the vice presidential elections, we have seen over the past so many years in our democracy. Currently, naturally, the numbers are stacked up in the favor of the NDA candidate. And even though if you minus some of the parties who are abstaining, the numbers are very small, whether it be BRS or BJD or even Akali Dal. They are so small that the strength of the house from 781 coming down to 769, it's like a drop of water in an ocean. So, and looking at the strong numbers of the NDA and for what extraneous reasons Zaka just mentioned, it is highly unlikely that some kind of cross-voting from the saffron to the other side might happen.
Tambidurai ji, Tambidurai, Sumant Raman has just said DMK is against Tamil by voting against the Tamil candidate. Radhakrishnan will win with a big margin.
So I think, Zaka, I've been maintaining from day one that, the issue really is why were these elections actually necessary? But having said that, this is a formality. We can go on with the numbers saying, 2 votes here, 3 votes there. But there is a larger issue which I see here, and that is 3 parties, BRS, BJD, and Akali Dal. Akali Dal, of course, was an ally, and BRS and BJD were prominent supporters of the BJP and the NDA in parliament for several years. Now they're choosing to abstain. And maybe we need to ask why. YSRCP has no choice because of the dozens of cases that its leader faces. It's literally, a question of, turning up the heat on Jagan and getting him to comply. So I think that, the larger issue is that the NDA is very comfortably placed, but I don't see that it could potentially be complacent because a lot of people who were once supporting it in parliament are now saying, hey, wait a minute, let's at least move to the stage where we say we will not support you, we will abstain. Now, whether they will vote on the other side is a different issue. They don't have the numbers clearly.
Sumant, no disrespect, but you currently sound like Ramiz Raja when Pakistan needs 30 to win of 3 balls, and still
Anand,
Ramiz Raja believes that Pakistan can win. It's good. It's good.
I do not believe they can win. Anand, I think there's a slight difference. 1 second. I have consistently maintained that this is a formality. The NDA candidate, Mr. CPR, is going to win very, very comfortably. And even 5-10 votes of cross-voting is really not really...
Sumant, you should sound more like Ravi Shastri when India is 6 short of winning the World Cup final.
Absolutely.
I'm happy to because I've already conceded that the game...
You should.
Straight like a tracer bullet.
Yeah. No, Uttappa, you deserve 10 dosas. I'll never forget that. But to Robin Uttappa, that's also Shaz. But yes, YSRCP, you're saying that they are under pressure, but you have PV Mithun Reddy, floor leader Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha MP Subhash Chandra Bose, and Ayodhya Rami Reddy, Rajya Sabha MP, who have just called on Piyush Goyal. So they don't seem to be doing it under duress. There seems to be an equation which the NDA has been able to work with ex-allies and current allies and also get some of those to also abstain. No, also to abstain. Sir, why is it that the BJD and the BRS have decided to back off? They're abstaining. So those abstentions also mean something from the INDI bloc point of view, that the INDI bloc has not been able to convince them. Thambidurai spoke with Aman. I just want to play that out. We'll play that out, please, and then we'll take this conversation forward.
Election, which way is it going? Will be a big victory for Mr. Radhakrishnan?
Yeah, Radhakrishnan is Radhakrishnan. Krishna is always will victory is there. Krishna, Lord Krishna, you know that. Therefore, definitely is going to win thumping majority.
The opposition, the DMK has been saying a lot in this election, sir. What do you think? They are saying that, this is a victory for country's constitution.
DMK? What is the way about the country's constitution? The constitution provides to vote all Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha members. They are nearly 40-50 members, DMK people. They are always saying Tamil pride. But when Tamilian is contesting, they are not voting. It is astonishing to say. They are telling he is coming RSS like that cadre. That is the one thing. It's the wrong thing. Because 98, when ADMK BJP alliance, Radhakrishnan won Lok Sabha member from Coimbatore. 99, DMK and BJP alliance took place. At that time, they voted for Radhakrishnan, elected Lok Sabha. At that time, whether the DMK realized whether he is RSS man or not, that question is not arising. This is all convenience, political convenience. They are giving this kind of statement. They are against the Tamilian. The namesake DMK telling Tamilian, they are totally against the Tamil candidate. That shows that Tamil people will now give the verdict coming assembly election.
Well, that's why we say never mess with seasoned politician with elephantine memories, because they'll fact check you like that.
No, it's a fascinating story. Yeah. So 1998, Mr. Radhakrishnan was the NDA candidate. At that time, the BJP was aligned with Jayalalitha. The Coimbatore blast happened. LK Advani had gone there and the blast happened. And right after the blast, the election happened and he won. At that time, no one quite thought that he would win because he was relatively an unknown entity there. But he won in 1998. He became an MP. Within a year, Jayalalitha pulls out support. Rashid knows this. Yeah. Jayalalitha pulls out support to the NDA. The Vajpayee government falls. The alliance flips in Tamil Nadu. The DMK and the BJP then ally and fight the 1999 elections. But Mr. Radhakrishnan wins again in 1999 as the MP for a second term. So it's fascinating. So the DMK voted for Mr. Radhakrishnan, campaigned for him, allied with him in 1999. But in 2025, they think...
will somebody make them remember again? We don't know. A lot of possibilities of voting here and there. We'll have to wait. Gents, to our viewers, just stay on with us. We've got to take this break. Commercials up next. And then we are right back. Stay with us.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Informed the cabinet meeting held on Monday decided to open social media platforms in the country. He said that the social media has been operational since the cabinet made the decision. Now, that is a big update that we are getting from Nepal, where the Nepalese government has lifted the ban on social media. As we know that massive protests were organized in Nepal by under the Gen Z banner, and we are joined by Siddhant Mishra on this broadcast. Siddhant, now that the Nepal government has lifted the ban on social media, does this mean that the government is under immense pressure?
Well, government was under the immense pressure, and in fact, the scenes yesterday in Kathmandu perhaps has had put government in a lot of pressure. So initially, they said that there's going to be no revocation on the ban on the social media apps. but there was a cabinet meeting which was convened by Prime Minister Oli, and in fact, in that meeting, this decision has been taken to lift the ban on the social media apps. So the decision was taken at around 9 p.m. In the cabinet meeting yesterday, and at around 11 p.m. The applications started working. So the main point of contention, the main issue has been resolved by the Nepalese government. But there are other issues also, which includes corruption, nepotism. Perhaps that was also those issues were also the reasons why these youngsters came to the road to protest. So situation still remains tense. The area around Parliament and the main areas in Kathmandu have been cleared by the authorities, but in the streets and in by-lanes, the protest is still going on. So next 48 hours are going to be very, very crucial for Nepal, since a major decision has been made. The ban has been revoked on the social media applications. So whether the Gen Z group will end the protest or they will continue with the protest, taking forward their other demands. So that would really be interesting to see. But 19 people have lost their lives. Harsh. More than 300 are injured. Yesterday, authorities had to resort to rubber bullets and tear gas on the protesters to disperse them. So situation remains tense, and as I said, the 19 people have died. The Home Minister has already submitted the resignation. So there is still a pressure on the government when it comes to the other demands. But so far, the main issue, the main point of contention has been resolved.
Right, Siddhant. Thank you, Siddhant, for gathering all that. Now, my colleague Rahul Shankar spoke to ex-envoy to Nepal, Vijay Kant Karna. Listen in.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Informed the cabinet meeting held on Monday decided to open social media platforms in the country. He said that the social media has been operational since the cabinet made the decision. Now that is a big update that we are getting from Nepal, where the Nepalese government has lifted the ban on social media. As we know that massive protests were organized in Nepal under the Gen Z banner, and we are joined by Siddhant Mishra on this broadcast. Siddhant, now that the Nepal government has lifted the ban on social media, does this mean that the government is under immense pressure?
Well, government was under the immense pressure, and in fact, the scenes yesterday in Kathmandu perhaps has had put government in a lot of pressure. So initially, they said that there's going to be no revocation on the ban on the social media apps, but there was a cabinet meeting which was convened by Prime Minister Oli, and in fact, in that meeting, this decision has been taken to lift the ban on the social media apps. So the decision was taken at around 9 p.m. In the cabinet meeting yesterday, and at around 11 p.m. The applications started working. So the main point of contention, the main issue has been resolved by the Nepalese government. But there are other issues also, which includes corruption, nepotism. Perhaps that was also those issues were also the reasons why these youngsters came to the road.
Only one question. I have with me Suresh Kopi ji. Sir, a big day for the NDA. How confident of you are of a big victory?
I very strongly feel that through the past 11 and a half years, we have been extremely or sumptuously blessed by God. This is going to be a God-blessed day. for the people of India and the Indian diaspora living outside the borders, and also through them other countries which should have major fruitful contributions from our citizens living there and working there.
The opposition is pitching it like a constitution versus RSS fight.
I don't need to talk about the opposition because the Indians, the patriotic Indians, are not at all focused on the opposition. So why should we discuss opposition today? Opposition itself seems to be turning out into lots of negativities. You know what's been going on in the form of a verbatim flow, wrong narratives, or illful or vicious or venomous narratives. So let's not talk about the negative side. Let us talk, let us think, let us hope and pray for the best and only the goodness.
So a son from South India is going to become the next vice president.
Never use that term South India. He is all Indian. He is a patriotic Indian, dedicated Indian. Because I've been knowing him for past maybe 10, 12 years. And I know his history. So I adore the path that he has treaded through.
Thank you so much.
Sir,
So confirmation of what we reported a short while ago. Anshul getting us these details. YSRCP MPs meeting Union Minister Piyush Goyal, PV Mithun Reddy, the floor leader of the Lok Sabha of the YSRCP, and also Rajya Sabha MP Subhash Chandra Bose, Ayodhya Rami Reddy, Rajya Sabha MP. All of them have met Piyush Goyal. Anshul is joining us with more. Anshul, a lot of the NDA ally and leaders, their party leaders in the House, they are calling on Piyush Goyal. How long did this meeting last?
Well, this meeting will end just in the next few minutes. As by 10 a.m. it is expected that all these MPs would be reaching in the parliament, and then eventually the entire process of voting for the next Vice President of India would start. Since morning, at least 5 MPs from Andhra Pradesh have all arrived over here. We have spoken to them, and all of them, specifically the allies of the BJP, are very, very confident. They continue to say that the writing is on the wall and it is their candidate, is the candidate of the NDA who is going to win. At this point in time, as I'm standing outside the residence of the of Piyush Goyal, we have been asked to move away a bit as the Prime Minister's convoy is about to move from this very location. So yes, the movements have already started, and it is a matter of minutes before the ball is set rolling to elect the next Vice President of our country.
Well, thank you for those updates, Anshul. Let's quickly, before we go back to our guests along with Zaka, just have a look at the numbers of the past vice president elections, especially the recent past, where the numbers for the NDA have been. In 2022, the vice presidential elections, where Shri Jagdeep Dhankhar became the vice president of Bharat, those numbers were huge for the NDA, 528 to 182. So it was quite a thumping there. Let's go back a little to 2017. And if you look at 2017 VP elections, Venkaiah Naidu ji won by again 500 plus votes. It was 516 against Gopal Krishna Gandhi, who had 244 at that time. So if we were to look at these numbers, Zaka, the total strength was 780. Votes cast were 771. This time around, again, the votes are around the same numbers. Yeah. But should we now say that the INDI bloc is actually looking far more robust than the NDA? Because the NDA seems to have come down from about 500 plus to about 430, 440.
Yeah, because Lok Sabha 2024 changed that. BJP alone came down from 303 to 240. These are pictures from Piyush Goyal's residence. So, look, the point is that this could have been far more of a closer contest had the India bloc, announced maybe a better candidate, maybe a candidate who could have appealed to some degree of, the neutral parties like BRS, YSRCP, BJD, Akali Dal, etc., vying for their candidate, the India Alliance candidate, more than the NDA candidate. Here, the opposite seems to have happened, where the neutral parties are either abstaining, which is also in a way, helping the NDA because it brings down the overall strength of both the houses, or they are actually voting for the NDA candidate, as in the case of the YSRCP. They have 11 MPs. That's a significant number. So that's why the NDA candidate's number goes up to 437 because of the 11 additions from the YSRCP. You can see CP Radhakrishnan, the NDA candidate, he went to a Sri Ram Mandir in Delhi before he goes to Parliament today to take stock of the voting. The voting goes on from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Prime Minister is expected to be one of the first persons to turn out to vote, because he will then, immediately after casting his ballot, he will fly off to Punjab and to Himachal to take stock of the flood situation. But I also am getting word from the opposition camp, Congress sources saying that there are going to be state conveners, they're members of parliament, who will be meeting Congress President Kharge. Kharge will also be one of the first voters. I think about 10-15 or so he's expected to vote. So the Congress state conveners, they have divided up the MPs into different states, and these state conveners will be meeting with Mr. Kharge just ahead of the voting that will happen starting 10 a.m. Before that, Jairam Ramesh, who is a social media head, he's now posted on X. For 50 days now, Jagdeep Dhankhar has maintained an uncharacteristic silence. Today, as the election for his successor gets underway, the nation continues to wait for him to speak out after his unprecedented and unexpected resignation as Vice President. Sharon has more details on this. So Jairam Ramesh once again trying to go back to, why Mr. Dhankhar resigned and where is he now, why is he not talking, etc. When you have an election to win, you have an election today.
Well, that's right. But at the same time, the strategy has fell apart for the Congress party and the opposition. So this is the only thing that Jairam Ramesh and the Congress party is coming back to, which is attacking the government over former Vice President Jagdeep Dhankhar. When the entire campaign started, the Congress party was very confident of relying heavily on TDP and YSRCP, but that has not worked out. So clearly the numbers are not in favor, and that's why we are seeing the continuous attack that is coming in from the Congress party as far as Jagdeep Dhankhar is concerned, questioning his silence. Why is it that over 50 days have happened and after his resignation there has been not a single statement coming in from the former Vice President is the allegation. Apart from that, Zaka, right now while we speak, there is a meeting that is going on inside the chambers in Parliament at Mallikarjun Kharge's chamber in Parliament, where there are state conveners who have been divided, like you pointed out. There are a number of MPs who have been given at least 3 to 4 states, and they will be speaking to all these MPs. So the final tuning is being done. Of course, the numbers not in favor, but even the last leg of campaign is something that is being pushed by the Congress party and the opposition. I'm right outside the hotel where the Vice President candidate.
Yeah, Sherry, no disrespect, but the more the indie bloc tends to tune, the more they tend to go out of tune. But bringing it back. Thanks, Sharon, for that, and going back to our guest. But first in the studio, Rashidji, when Dhankarji quit, when that whole drama happened, don't you think that the opposition perhaps missed a trick there? They should have been the first to jump and say, we want to look at the vice presidential candidate. They should have tried to say, let's put together a stronger candidate where everybody is consensus. There should have been a lot of song and dance. They were so obsessed with Dhankarji ko kya hua, Dhankarji ko kya hua. Did they miss the larger plot altogether, that this is perhaps the strongest time that they have to come back at the NDA and, try and establish a certain level of dominance?
So, Anand, yes and no. In the sense that, this election is uncalled for. There was no need. Mr. Dhankhar was a NDA nominee and he was there for 5 years. And I'm saying politically speaking, he seems to be having, good health. He's seen around and all. There are no medical reports or any kind of information that would tell us that he is indeed was unable to discharge that. So it was very abrupt exit. That is, of course, a thing. But opposition could have done better, and they should have, applied some kind of a thing. Remember the UPA time, they used to have a support of BSP, SP, NC, PDP, AIDMK, DMK, all kind of political formations. So yes, they should have reached out to YSR, Congress, BJD and others. Because abstention
why have they not been able to? Please tell me. They went to town saying, oh, Mr. Reddy is Telugu pride, he's a Telugu candidate. They're not able to get one of the major Telugu parties to back them. Two of the major Telugu parties. In fact, the
Indian Alliance itself is not a kind of cohesive group. You keep seeing Mamata Banerjee, Aam Aadmi Party, SP, they keep making noises. And I think there is something wrong, fundamentally wrong, since June 4th, 2024, when they had a good chance to, form India Alliance, make it a...
Tushar, you don't need to be like Jagdeep Dhankarji. You can please speak.
Look, the India Alliance, theoretically speaking, is like the Indian cricket team of the 2007 World Cup. look up. On paper, a lot of people will say, look, they have the numbers, there's a lot of weight, but it's not muscle weight. It's just flab. Right? They have not been put together, they have not been able to put together a very strong alliance for that matter. Now, a year ago, in September 2024, most of us would have agreed that perhaps BJP at 240 is in a little weaker position, NDA is in a weaker position. But a year later, Haryana, Maharashtra, Delhi, the NDA is formidable right now. Some would even argue that NDA at 290 odd looks stronger than NDA at 350 odd. And that has been evident by the reforms, by the legislative pursuits they've carried on the last 1 year. The problem with the Congress is that they are not willing to take on the fight to the BJP. They try to underplay every time. They want to go around, okay, there is a vote chori thing going on. Then one day they'll jump onto the constitution, Bachao Andolan. They are not really focused on one fight. This could have been that one fight. Sure, they don't have the numbers, but at least they could have had the candidate.
It could have been spirited to show there is unison in the opposition and they can create fission or division within the NDA ranks. You know,
Can I tell you an irony? Can I tell you an irony? The VP candidate of the INDI Alliance, and the INDI Alliance we know advocates for Muslim reservation through the OBC channels. Do you know what the VP candidate of the INDI Alliance, when he was the Andhra Pradesh High Court judge, had done? He actually ruled against Muslim reservation brought out by the then Congress government in Andhra Pradesh in 2004. Now look at the irony of things. You're not even getting a candidate, but you're not even getting a candidate.
The Congress protested his appointment as Lokayukta in Goa also because they felt that the right
there is the ideological
alignment. But you know, the fundamental point is you have to choose a politician. You have to choose a 24/7 politician. This whole experiment of, you know, Rajmohan Gandhi 10 years ago and now Mr. Justice Reddy, it doesn't work. MPs are your electors, MPs are your voters. To them, if you get a non-political candidate, or frankly a non-serious candidate, I don't think it's going to work.
Zaka, let me say, do I think they should have got a better candidate? Yes. Do I think that would have made a difference? No. It would not have made a very significant difference. Look, you got a Tamil party like the DMK voting against a Tamil candidate. You got a Telugu party like the YSRCP voting against a Telugu candidate. So I don't think that, you know, even if they had got a Telugu politician from Andhra Pradesh or a Tamil politician from Tamil Nadu, I don't think immediately the DMK or the YSRCP would have changed their stance. But I keep coming back. I keep coming back to the YSRCP. The last I read somewhere was there were 12 ED cases and about 8 or 10 CBI cases pending against Jagan. So his room for maneuvering is very limited. He fought against the BJP.
But Suman, let's say those 11,
against them. And now he goes and chews up. His MPs
Sumant, what I'm trying to say is, what about the BRS? What about the BJD? What about the Akali Dal? Even if there are 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, whatever the numbers, why are they abstaining? Why is the Indie bloc not able to convince them that you come and vote for us? The other thing is that
is a story.
You would also agree that from 54-4 to 394-4, you've allowed the opposition to you've allowed the government, which was on the mat, early wickets down, looking weak, looking vulnerable, to become stronger. Look at what they have done since June 2024. Just look at what they have done. What the opposition could have done. Please, Haryana lost, Maharashtra lost. You've allowed them. Operation Sindoor, again further stronger. Direct taxes reforms, GST reforms. There are people who are saying, Kailash Adhikari, please weigh in. Well, 1 minute.
They are the trump card for the government.
No, 1 minute.
If you did not have such an inept opposition, this government would have lost power 5 years ago. This opposition is the biggest trump card. Rahul Gandhi is the trump card. If the Congress had a more efficient leader, they would have won, or they would have prevented the NDA from forming a government in 2024.
This is the classic switch hit.
But Sumant is saying
this is the classic switch hit from Sumant. I don't know why we are making so many references this morning, but it's just hitting the script, viewers.
1 point. It's not about Tamil versus Telugu necessarily. If the NDA took the fight to the south against the India Alliance, what stopped the India Alliance from having someone from Bihar with the polls on?
Absolutely.
That could have put the JDU in a dock.
Zaka,
that is where the intent comes into play. Look, I agree with Suman C. Raman. It would have made no difference. JDU would still have gone with the NDA candidate, undoubtedly. My point here is that Congress has not even able to show that they have that intent to fight. It's about the intent here. We are very clear on the numbers. NDA has the numbers. NDA has very strong numbers. But where is Congress's intent?
No, not just intent. I think there are many who say कि 303 में वो नहीं किया जो 240 में किया बीजेपी ने. And it's in the last 1.5 years. Look at the last 18 months and the number of boxes that have been ticked by the government under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and the NDA perhaps at its most vulnerable in terms of numbers.
Yes.
Kailash Adhikari, agree, disagree. And the VP polls perhaps is going to perhaps further seal the fact that this opposition cannot come together. They just can't come together, and they just can't win over others or even detractors within the NDA or those who may be perhaps sitting on the fence. Kailash Adhikari, then coming to you.
Absolutely, Anand. You know, the main problem with the opposition over the past 11 years is that they have weakened themselves. And because of that, you know, they have lost that entire political will, or you can say vision, or the political might to fight for anything. Now, and also the kind of topics that they wish to raise, they try to target the government is on very frivolous grounds. I mean, they forget the merit.
Just pause, Kailash. Just telling our viewers that these pictures are of Prime Minister Narendra Modi leaving for Parliament from local landmark, 7 local landmarks. These are pictures right outside Parliament there. So that's where, so PM Modi is already reaching Parliament. By 10 a.m. the action will begin in Parliament. Yes, Kailash, please finish, and then we got to take a break. Ji.
Sure. So my point being that, yes, we all know that the opposition, the entire bloc, the principal opposition party, as their entire bloc is completely disarrayed in the past 11 years. And it could be a result, Anand, because of the deep electoral loss frustration also, you know, creeping in within themselves, because they are not able to prove, or they are not able to win the mandate of the people. But having said that, Anand, you know, one thing I'd like to state here is that always saying that the biggest trump card that the government has is that opposition has Rahul Gandhi, and that is why they win, is not a very fair comparison also, because, you know, the people of this nation do not always vote on the fact that we don't want someone, that's why we are voting. You know, that's not completely right. I'm not debunking that myth, that logic, sorry. But my point is that, yes, the government also in the past 11 years has delivered on a lot of promises that it has done. Yeah. You know, be it the direct benefit transfer, be it the Ujjwala Yojana, or there have been sweeping reforms in terms of on ground, when in terms of infrastructure, it comes in terms of digital banking, where each and every strata of the society has been touched upon, and they see that this government has done something crucial. Sure. When it comes to national or internal security, Anand, by and large, if you compare from 2004 to 2014 and 2014 to 2025, a lot has changed when it comes to national security, right. You know, apart from other factors.
No, so not just that. See, since you talk about internal security, look at the fact, look at what's happened. The Red Terror Corridor has come down. The massive crackdown on drugs that have happened, it's a huge step that has been taken. Yesterday's development, the entire Great Nicobar project itself is perhaps the biggest intent on saying that we're going to secure national interest, despite the fact that just 4 days back, they met the Singapore Prime Minister and he was there in Bharat. And Singapore is the biggest beneficiary of the Malacca Straits. But despite all of that, we are going ahead and pushing on, pressing on at various levels. No, the Japanese Prime Minister, he comes here and then he's gone back and he's resigned. But, you know, we are continuing to move on.
It's an exercise people should do. Now they have all sorts of apps. You look at the Pacific. Even in the remotest parts of the Pacific, the US has ensured they have some sort of infrastructure developed for their military needs. I don't know why the opposition in India gets very regressive by the idea of developing Nicobar. That op-ed from Sonia Gandhi yesterday was quite shocking, to be honest. You're talking about having military installation, a transshipment port in one of the most strategic trade routes of the world. And somehow the Congress is not aligned with that whole idea. That is something that is baffling people now. That one can understand you have ideological differences with the BJP. You might have even policy differences with the BJP. But why are you going against the country's larger interests when it comes to national security? No, and that is reflecting in all the steps they are taking, even in the vice presidential elections. The lack of seriousness is very, very visible.
No, and I think that's a very unfair criticism. You see, it's very fashionable, Anand, these days to criticize and blame Congress for everything. Look at this election. There is very little maneuvering is there. You are saying a political phase should have been there. When Margaret Alva was there at the political phase, what difference did it make? You look at 2007 elections where, you know, Hamid Ansari, a rookie that time, was fighting against NDS Najma Hepatullah. And Najma was a very seasoned politician. She's been a presiding officer of Rajya Sabha for several a deputy chairperson, but made no difference at all. So what I'm saying is numbers are very clear and numbers are ultimately inconsequential.
The point, Rashid, is, you know, what Tushar was saying, What stopped? Let's be very clear. The NDA chose Mr. Radhakrishnan because they want to send a signal to Tamil Nadu, ahead of the assembly elections next year, where frankly,
It's symbolic,
where the BJP is not even a big player, right?
Yes.
What stopped the Congress from choosing a candidate from Bihar? The Bihar election is 3 months away. What stopped the Congress from choosing a candidate?
That's a very simplistic way of looking at it. A candidate from Bihar losing election on the eve of assembly election would have reflected very poorly. So there is no point, and it's not a Congress story. See, India Alliance is not a Congress story. You would have said Congress has, big brotherly approach, pushing its own candidate, and also therefore they have taken on board.
Why didn't you look at a candidate from Karnataka? To prop up Karnataka, where you are in power?
Who is the big brother then in the India Alliance? Somebody has to hold the alliance
together. That is a structural problem. Zaka, I can write a thesis on it. That, India Alliance politics is always has a dominant partner. The problem is Trinamool and Aam Aadmi Party is not accepting.
Are you trying to say that Congress is not the dominant partner in the India Alliance?
Well, the India Alliance people don't. They want to have co-equals.
Switch it. Just now he said that we don't have a dominant partner. Now you are saying, oh, we are very democratic.
Rashid ji, with all due respect, says it wouldn't have made a difference.
Coming to you, Suman ji.
Possibly not. But in Bihar, where Rahul Gandhi has put his heart out into the campaign, 16 days, 18 days, he's been doing his Padayatra, Congress will not be given more than 50 of the 240 seats to fight on. What difference does it make? But he's still doing it. Yeah. Rahul Gandhi for his political capital can do it. But Rahul Gandhi for the political capital of the larger alliance will not do it. No. That is where the difference is.
No, why is it that one solid story from Bihar? I'm just saying they could have thought it's about the intent. One solid story from Bihar. A person, an achiever on ground who's a nobody. The Congress and the opposition could have said, no, we want to put that person.
I think they waste. This is the Prime Minister arriving in Parliament to cast his vote. At 10 a.m. is when the voting will begin. He'll be one of the first voters who will cast his vote in favor of the NDA candidate. The Prime Minister arriving in the voting hall. This is in the new Parliament building. I believe this will be the first vice presidential election in the new Parliament building.
New Parliament building, yeah, because by 2022, Jagdeep Dhankhar ji actually walked into the new Parliament as vice president. So this has come because his term is cut short. In fact, this is unprecedented. It's never happened that a sitting vice president has actually resigned. There have been deaths and passing away, and so it's over.
नई बिल्डिंग उनके लिए शुभ नहीं रही।
वो आप जैसे भी देख लें, नई बिल्डिंग किसके लिए शुभ है, किसके लिए शुभ नहीं, आप देख ले तो ये तो इंडी ब्लॉक के लिए भी शुभ नहीं है सर, क्योंकि इंडी ब्लॉक स्ट्रांग नहीं, वीक लग रहा है. बट आई एम जस्ट ऑल्सो सेइंग, लुक एट इंटेंट हियर. प्राइम मिनिस्टर नरेंद्र मोदी इज वन ऑफ द फर्स्ट टू कम देयर टू वोट. ही इज नॉट सेइंग कि सब लोग वोट करो, अपने टाइम पे आराम से आएंगे. देयर इज अ सर्टेन लेवल ऑफ इंटेंट. दिस पर्सन, he soon on 17th of September he will turn 75, but so many more than 2.5 decades in public service as chief minister and as prime minister, his contribution and his leadership, his ability to showcase that he is not only able to lead from the front as a single largest dominant person, but also work in a coalition. And with people who have come in and out of the NDA, they continue to collaborate and work. Yes, there may be cases against Jagdeep Reddy, but you may say that there is pressure, but the fact is that Chandrababu Naidu is also working equally well with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and there is no pressure there. You could have said that there would have been pressure.
That is being worldly wise.
No, whether it is worldly wise or not. So then at that time, the UPA also managed this like this, right? If the UPA could have had vice presidential elections and vote by proxy at that point in time, you were only outlining it some time back.
No, that was different.
So a lot of things have happened in the past which were done because you managed power, and that was part of statecraft. In this case, can this person work with an alliance? Can this person work at a time when perhaps his party and his numbers are at the weakest in about 3 terms? That is what he has also been able to display. And look at the reforms push that have happened in the last 1.5 years. It's unprecedented. Barring perhaps at that time GST and before that demonetization which happened. In 1 year itself, what has happened at various levels, national security, geopolitically, and to be able to work into internal reforms, internal security, a lot of boxes have been ticked under the NDA at its weakest, where the BJP is at its weakest. Yeah.
You look at this last 1 year, political capital, a bit of it eroded, comes back with the Haryana victory. You have problems geopolitically with US of all of all sovereigns. You have the tariffs going on, but the Russian crude imports do not stop. Then you have issues with Pakistan, the Pahalgam terror attack, and you go for Operation Sindoor, an unprecedented operation against Pakistan. In between all of that, you have high-profile elections. You win Delhi after 27 years. And then people go back and say, look, he had 240 seats. Probably the people rejected him. Probably he won't be able to work in a coalition. But Narendra Modi has defied all expectations in the last 1 year. If I look at the NDA, across the last 11 years, I think after 2016-17, 24-25 has been the most critical year, and probably that will set up the next couple of years, especially 2027 March, when they go to polls in Uttar Pradesh. So I think this has been a good year so far.
So I think, Rashid, please weigh in. Anand Naganathan is also joining us. I think basically what happened after 2024 is opposition suddenly went to 100 seats, BJP down to 240. They thought they were in power. They thought that this is it. This is the end of the Modi era. Modi is on his downward spiral. And all it took were 2 state elections, Haryana and Maharashtra, for the entire wind in the opposition sail to be taken out. And now the wind is clearly with the NDA. I mean, this is something that the NDA realized. I mean, one election does not mean the end of a story.
Absolutely, Zaka. There is a lot of hard work that has gone part of Prime Minister Modi and India, and that is why the opposition is raking up, this vote chori allegation, because they need to also, to their constituency, they needed an explanation for debacle in Haryana and in Maharashtra. So they have come up with this charge of this vote chori, and let's see what happens in Bihar outcome. So things don't get settled in Indian politics, and the beauty of it. What I'm saying is simply the Congress, we can go on criticizing, but it's also a story of resilience. You see, political parties in India go down when they don't perform well. You look at, the Janata Party, you look at the Janata Dal, you look at the left parties. The Congress actually has kept its vote bank intact. It's not a loser's argument. But seats have gone up.
One second.
From 50 to 100.
See, the issue is also, Rashid, are they taking up matters that actually concern the common people? Do you genuinely believe that the number one issue in this country right now is vote chori? How much political capital Rahul Gandhi and the entire opposition has put on behind vote chori?
In that sense, that Bihar outcome will be a kind of referendum on that. We don't have
and if so they lose, then vote chori is not an issue.
Yeah, obviously, that happens. That happens.
But Rashid
after December 2023,
every state election then becomes a referendum, and then you move to the next mudda. So Maharashtra was a referendum, Haryana was a referendum, this was a referendum. Everything is a referendum.
You look at Rahul Gandhi after 2024 Lok Sabha elections, he stopped his Jitni Abadi Utna Hak rhetoric. It stopped altogether. The Adani rhetoric stopped after the Gujarat elections of 2022. So after every state election, wherever there is a critical election happening, Rahul Gandhi picks up an issue, drills it down to the public rejects it, and he moves on.
Tushar, that's exactly all politicians and political parties do.
But
now there is election in
Bihar.
It's called throwing darts in the dark, hoping that one of them will stick. That's basically what it is.
Dr. Anand, even helping his alliance partners, is this issue helping the RJD, the Samajwadi, or the TMC or the DMK? Next year you have elections where the TMC and DMK start as favorites. Do you really want to go with the narrative of vote chori?
Let's ask Dr. Anand Ranganathan, what mood has he woken up this Tuesday morning? Off spin, leg spin, googlies, dibbly dobblers, or all out pace attack, as the NDA wants to outlast the INDI bloc candidate by at least 120 votes.
Good morning, Anand. I can't see you on the screen. Morning, everyone. Zaka, everyone, all the panelists. Look, I think finally it's possibly going to be ab ki baar 400 par. It wasn't possible for Modi, but for Mr. Radhakrishnan, I think it would be. But initially, it's a bit difficult to say because you have the postal ballots being counted. So Rahul Gandhi.
पिछले 2 बार 500 पार हुए थे.
No, but there's one pertinent question, of course, we can discuss for the next hours about the ramifications of this election. And of course, I think it's good, it's healthy for democracy that we have a competitor. Opposition has put up a candidate. I think it's always good. In the last 75 years, there's only been 4 occasions where unanimous choice has been used for selecting the vice presidency, and 2 of them, if I'm not mistaken, were for Mr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, the namesake of the current candidate. But I want to ask a very simple question to the Congress and Rahul Gandhi, who loses absolutely, no chance in saying that there should be OBC or Dalit candidates wherever, in whichever post it is. So can I please ask them? I can't see the panelists. I don't know if there is a...
Rashid Kidwai and Tushar are there with us.
Right. I just want to ask them why they haven't chosen a Dalit or an OBC as a candidate.
Tashit, I think it's a fair question to ask. Mr. Reddy is a general caste.
By that yardstick, in every election, then you would need to do that. So therefore, I don't see that as a major issue. This is a symbolic, as Mr. Anand Ranganathan was himself saying, that it's good that a contest is taking place. We all know, what would be the outcome. So regardless of who was in the fray, the outcome would still be the same.
The irony is, Rahul Gandhi goes on and on about, caste reservation and doing away with 50%. The NDA candidate is an OBC candidate, and the India Alliance candidate is a general category candidate. I mean, the opposite has happened.
So when Mr. Shekhawat was contesting, Sushil Kumar Shinde was a candidate, but then it didn't matter because it's Zaka.
It's the Congress that has made it matter, no, Rashid ji. It's a fair question to ask. They said Sikho mein, when they put Charanjit Chani, they came out and said Dalit Sikh khada kiya. They tried to create caste divisions even within Sikh. That's what they did with Mallikarjun Kharge, 80-year-old, octogenarian, career Congress person. They said कि उनको दलित है इसीलिए बनाया. They brought his caste card there at that point in time.
Political parties do that.
So it's a Congress's card. In Bihar also they are playing the same OBC and Dalit card on ground, saying that आपका vote चोरी हो रहा है, दलित का vote, गरीब का vote चोरी हो रहा है.
No. When Mr. Ramnath Kovind was made president, when President Murmu was made president, all these things are said. So all political parties do that. I am surprised that you are surprised actually.
No, I'm not surprised that I am surprised. I am surprised that you are not surprised, that you are not shocked that those who parroted this narrative.
Are you surprised that you are surprised?
Dr. Ranganathan.
I'm only asking this question because the Congress leader Rahul Gandhi keeps harping on the exact same thing, enough of merit, even exams he doesn't want to hold. He says we need representation of Dalits and OBCs now out here. Let the Congress sympathizers say that they have chosen the candidate based on merit. Let them say it.
No, but it is not even a candidate based on merit. That's the whole point I've been trying to make. I don't think Justice Reddy, in due respect to his body of work...
Party or any political party.
No. Due respect to his work, was he the strongest candidate that the India Alliance could have put up? Absolutely not. And that is the whole point that I'm trying... If you cannot get... Forget about, trying to wean away NDA partners like TDP and JDU. Forget about that, okay? If you can't wean away neutral parties, YSR, CP... BJD, BRS, who have no skin in this game, to vote for you, then obviously your candidate does not inspire. That's what it is.
There was an interesting picture there. Arjun Ram Meghwal and Jairam Ramesh exchanging pleasantries and saying hello right in front of the cameras. So it is good to see that despite their sparring on social media, there is a certain level of camaraderie.
I think the opposition expended way too much energy on what happened to Mr. Dhankhar. Why is he gone silent? Why did he suddenly resign? How does it matter? How does it matter? Professor Ranganathan, please.
No, absolutely. And I think the fact remains, look, what are we looking at out here? The Congress has been berating the NDA candidate, saying that he has an RSS background. Now, is that a crime? Does one always need to have a Nehru-Gandhi dynasty background? Like all the candidates previously when UPA was in power had, including Ms. Pratibha Patil. Good luck to her. But, it's not putting up a candidate. And to be honest, Zaka, may I gently disagree with you? I don't know whether one can talk about the strength of a candidate. You might be actually politically right that they haven't chosen the strongest candidate, but in his own right, I think Mr. Reddy is strong enough. I mean, he's been the judge of the Supreme Court and he's been the Lokayukt as well. So personally, I don't know what a strong candidate means. I mean, is the NDA candidate strong enough? I don't know. I mean, he's been the governor and he's won many elections. He's lost many elections as well. Be that as it may, the fact of the matter is that the issues that Mr. Reddy is highlighting are non-issues, as exactly what you were saying, Zaka. What if after Bihar elections it turns out that this vote chori thing was a complete sham and a charade? What happens then? Because Mr. Reddy has taken up this issue.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi, just interrupting you there. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has cast his vote. He's leaving Parliament right now. He's exiting after casting his vote. Arjun Ram Meghwal, Kiran Rijiju present there. Kiran Rijiju also has a larger role in these elections as the main polling agent, along with the likes of Shrikant Shinde and Sanjay Jha of the JDU. and one more. I think we've got
Ramon Naidu.
Ramon Naidu.
That's a political
Ramon
messaging.
Naidu, yeah.
Why should the NDA, the BJP worry about making one person from the JDU and one person from the TDP as the polling agent for their candidate? The BJP did not have to do that. But the reason why they did that was to send a signal that, look, we want our allies on board. Our allies need to back this candidate fully. I find it absolutely politically amazing that the TDP and the YSRCP are backing the same candidate. I mean, for God's sake, Jagan put Chandrababu Naidu in jail. It's personal between the both of them.
Yeah.
And yet, YSRCP today is backing the NDA candidate. That, I think, is the failure of the opposition.
And Chandrababu Naidu is okay with it.
He's okay with it. That's exactly what I'm
That's the other part, that he's also okay with it.
And to respond to Professor Ranganathan's point, I think a strong candidate is someone who can entice neutral parties who don't have a skin in the game, BJD, BRS, YSRCP, Akali Dal in this case, to have voted for that candidate. And I don't think Justice Reddy is that candidate.
Yeah, and they could have kept the Punjab differences aside.
Let's go back 5 years, just to complete that point. Just go back 5 years. Rashid knows this. Mamta Banerjee and Mr. Dhankhar were at loggerheads. They were biting each other's heads off. What did the TMC do? They abstained.
Yes.
Why did they not vote against Mr. Dhankhar?
Yeah.
Clearly, there was some kind of a political understanding, right? There was some politics happened there,
so
there was an understanding that the TMC
there was a meeting,
abstain.
if I remember, that Ahluwalia,
SS
Ahluwalia got a meeting between Abhishek Banerjee, Mamta Banerjee and Jagdeep Dhankhar, and there was a conversation, and after which they told it. So they were able to manage it politically.
Exactly.
Now, this is something which we were discussing, Anand Ranganathan, and let's take that forward. When the Jagdeep Dhankhar exit happened, when he stepped down, and there was a two-worded message by the Prime Minister wishing him good health and thanking him for his services. That's all. Perhaps the shortest send-off or thank you note that the Prime Minister sent for any political leader, be it government or opposition. Was the Congress and the opposition obsessed with what happened to Jagdeep Dhankhar rather than saying, what do we do next? Let's announce our vice presidential candidate first. Let's create a momentum where we build up not just India bloc but also NDA outliers and those who are sitting on the fence. Let's build up. Did they lose that opportunity? Were they too obsessed with Jagdeep Dhankhar and the politics around it rather than looking at what do I do with the optics beyond?
No, absolutely, Anand, but not just then. Even right now, in fact, you have the speciousness of some Congress leaders saying having habeas corpus to find out where Mr. Dhankhar is. Even this morning, many leaders are saying, where are the whereabouts of Mr. Dhankhar? They don't even know that as late as a week ago, he was spotted at a dentist at an army referral hospital. So, they're unnecessarily bringing this out. Of course,
a bit more than he could chew.
Yeah, he says he bit off more than he could chew. That's why.
That was a good one. But I think the nub of the issue is the following: both for the NDA and for the alliance, the NDA has realized that without the RSS, you cannot win elections. And the last few elections that NDA has been winning, hands down in the states particularly, have been because it has realized this, and RSS is actively canvassing and participating. That's point number one. So perhaps this is a realization that without RSS, BJP is nothing. As far as the opposition is concerned, they turned the tables. They are saying, we hate this candidate because the candidate has a RSS background. You need to save the constitution. I challenge them to tell me one thing where the constitution has been put in peril by the NDA. Just one instance.
No, not just that. We don't even need to get into that argument. If they knew that the numbers were against them, they could have picked a candidate who has an erstwhile RSS background but has had Congress or India Alliance leanings, and then try to split the ranks and then to create confusion among the ranks. That's what you would want to do in politics. Pallavi has caught up with Akhilesh Yadav, so another silent person. And they are also quietly doing their work in Uttar Pradesh, and somewhere many believe that he was far more articulate than some of the other leaders, including the LOP, in the Operation Sindoor debate. Let's see what Akhilesh Yadav had to say.
With the Jagdeep Dhankhar stepping down on health grounds as the Vice President of India, this sudden kind of mid-term Vice Presidential elections, you can see right behind me inside Parliament that one by one all the MPs have begun to pour in. The voting, as we know, begins sharp at 10 p.m. and it's going to carry on till evening, and 6 p.m. is when the counting will actually begin. The numbers are not too much of an issue. You can see all the MPs right just coming behind me. The numbers are not really an issue. But look at the kind of pitch. If there is going to be any amount of cross voting, whether there's going to be a dilemma as far as the opposition parties are concerned, and whether it's going to be seen as a vote on ideology. That is exactly how the India bloc is now trying to project the entire, that we may not have the numbers, but क्या ये ideology की लड़ाई है? क्योंकि आपके पास तो numbers है नहीं.
आपको कैसे पता?
अगर आप आंकड़े देखें,
आपको कैसे पता?
अगर आप आंकड़े देखें ना,
नहीं आंकड़े तो ठीक है, लेकिन ये वोट तो अंतर आत्मा के उस पे पड़ता है, और दूसरा पूरा देश ही जानता है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी इस्तेमाली पार्टी है. पहले इस्तेमाल करो फिर बर्बाद करो, पहले इस्तेमाल करो फिर बर्बाद करो. भाई हमारे वाइस प्रेसिडेंट जो खोए हुए हैं उनके साथ भी यही हुआ.
So this is the inner voice. This is the Atma ki Awaaz. That is how the opposition parties are pitching. As I said, they are going to call it about a fight for the constitutional principles. They're going to call it as a fight for the democratic norms. But clearly, there is no second guess over here. The numbers are clearly stacked heavily in favor of the NDA.
Hand it to Akhilesh Yadav. Look at the spin that he gives on it. No, आपको कैसे पता हमारे पास ना? That's what.
No, and he's called it Antaratma ki ladai. And if it is about Antaratma ki ladai, then many opposition MPs will have to look into their Antaratma and see if the person of their calling is Justice Reddy. Justice Reddy spoke just a moments ago. Let's play out that interview and then we'll go back to our guests.
आपके उम्मीदवार कह रहे विपक्ष में जो वो कह रहे हैं कि उनकी जीत होगी राधाकृष्णन जी की.
चलिए चलो. Justice Sudershan is going to win. Justice Sudershan जीत. चलो. और लगा रखते हैं.
He was a Congress MP in the Rajya Sabha. He's supposed to be the minder, if I can use that phrase, of Justice Reddy. He's the one who's bringing him to Parliament, etc. So I think that was Pramod Tiwari. But I'll tell you a fascinating story. And Rashid, you can check with your sources in the India Alliance, because you have more sources in the India Alliance than certainly I do. After Jagdeep Dhankhar resigned, Rahul Gandhi, in one of the India Alliance meetings, told all the opposition leaders who had gathered there, we should convince Mr. Dhankhar to be the opposition's candidate for Vice President.
And I think Mr. Kapil Sibal was deployed also for that purpose, and that's why Kapil Sibal later on said that, Dhankhar is not traceable, etc.
Once again, so there was no problem about his outspokenness, him being a BJP agent, RSS agent. They even brought a vote against him in the Rajya Sabha to remove him from office. All of that is gone. If the leader of the opposition is willing to make a person as much hated in the opposition ranks as the former vice president was, as the opposition candidate, then what are you saying? Ideological fight, Antaratma ki ladai hai?
No, Zaka, we must understand, this is politics. Raj Narayan had defeated Indira Gandhi, the only Prime Minister who lost as Prime Minister. And when, the downfall of Janata Party began, Indira Gandhi, Sanjay Gandhi met Raj Narayan, and Raj Narayan was instrumental in toppling of Morarji Desai government. So this is not something, very new or so. This is being done in politics that for a purpose, if Mr. Dhankhar had a sort of,
this is the vice president against whom Mr. Khadge stood there and said, I have no confidence in him. You had no confidence.
I can go on.
Kalyan Banerjee was nobody decried Kalyan Banerjee.
So many people have spoken against Mr. Modi.
Speaking against Modi is different. Here you moved a new impeachment motion against the vice president, and then you say we'll go and back you because we want to spite spite Prime Minister Modi or the BJP.
Politics is all about live and learn.
No, sir. It is also about when you believe that
you are taking an idealistic position.
No, I'm not taking an idealistic position. I'm saying
live and let the BJP learn.
Yeah. There are so many people in the cabinet and otherwise who have spoken against Mr. Modi at one point or other.
Okay, Mallikarjun Kharge ji, we just mentioned him. He's spoken. Let's listen in.
जो वाइस प्रेसिडेंट कैंडिडेट हैं वो जीतने की
सभी संभावनाएं हैं। इसीलिए सारे पार्टियां कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि लोकतंत्र में हम सभी लोग एक होकर सुदर्शन रेड्डी जी को जिताना, यही एक अपना मकसद है।
Till the time he mentioned Sudershan Reddy, I thought Kharge ji is going to keep it ambiguous. Then he mentioned Sudershan Reddy and I said, all right, he's talking about the India bloc candidate, because otherwise it was a generic statement that it's the responsibility of everybody to get the candidate to win. But Dr. Ranganathan, is it fair, unfair? Is the Congress party, should the Congress party and the INDI bloc be faulted for trying to say we will try and convince Jagdeep Dhankhar? And somewhere one also has to see that you may have had a fallout, you may not have had a fallout. But there is a certain discipline that you would follow as a candidate, as a cadre, and perhaps one has to credit Jagdeep Dhankhar ji that he's held his counsel, he's maintained his silence, he may speak whenever he chooses to, but he's not done anything out of spite if there was a certain fissure between him and the government of the day.
No, Anand,
that's PM Modi voting. Yeah, Ji, go ahead please.
There's a new paraphrasing of the adage, an enemy of an enemy is a friend, the enemy of an enemy is a candidate. But not only a candidate, he is now the favorite panelist. If you look at Mr. Satpal Malik, he was the one who was criticized till the kingdom come. And the fact of the matter is, right now, he is the toast of the opposition in every panel just because he is virulently opposing Mr. Modi and all his policies and trying to divulge things that, I mean, the late Satyapal Malik, I'm just giving you an example. So, Mr. Rashid cannot be faulted for saying everything happens in politics. The only issue is, if he is so entrenched in this belief that, politicians and politics can be hypocritical, then why talk about morals at all?
Yeah, we are on an election coverage, but just quick update on Nepal since everybody is keeping an eye on it, and just reading, the ME has issued a statement just now, viewers, just updating you on that. The ME is saying we are closely monitoring the developments in Nepal since yesterday and are deeply saddened by the loss of many young lives. Our thoughts and prayers are with families of the deceased. We also wish speedy recovery for those who are injured. As a close friend and neighbor, we hope that all concerned will exercise restraint and address any issues through peaceful means and dialogue. Lastly, most important, with the Indian nationals who are in Nepal, we've also taken note that authorities have imposed curfew in Kathmandu and several other cities in Nepal. Indian nationals in Nepal are advised to exercise caution and adhere to the steps and guidelines issued by the Nepali authorities. So let's hope for safety and perhaps return to normalcy in Nepal. But that also brings back to this question that under the perhaps the weakest when the BJP is, Zaka, has Bharat emerged the most stable in the neighborhood also? And that is sort of the credit of the NDA and the Prime Minister.
As somebody said, what couldn't happen in 303 has started happening in 240.
240.
That's basically what has happened. So look, I come back to that point. What happened after the 2024 general election is the opposition started thinking that they're already, 1 foot they're 1 foot away from power. They to their absolute peril underestimated Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah and said, okay, the Modi story is over, he's in his third term, this is it, this is the end of the story, so on and so forth. What did the NDA and what did the BJP do? They went back to the basics and they said that, look, these are temporary sort of wins as far as politics is concerned. It's about Hawa. All we need to do to get the Hawa back in our favor is to win a couple of states, and which is what they did. Going against the tide, they won Haryana and they won Maharashtra. And then the opposition, did not know what hit them, have latched on to this whole vote chori business, which frankly the courts have heard the matter, the Bombay High Court has heard the matter and said there is no merit in the case. It's now pending before the Supreme Court. The issue simply is this. Is this the most resonant issue with the people of the country today? No, I frankly don't think vote chori is the #1 issue that people are concerned about, even in Bihar, even where, SIR has become such a big talking point. It's gone all the way up to the court, and the court yesterday said, include Aadhaar as the 12th document. It's not proof of citizenship, but it's proof of identity. Fair enough. I mean, opposition scored a symbolic victory there. But ultimately, are you telling me, Rashid Kitwai, SIR is going to be the #1 dominant issue for the average Bihari? No, I don't think so.
No, but there are two things, Anand. One is, of course, about fact of the matter is that the process, that is the electoral process in parliamentary democracy, this must be above any suspicion. If people are having it, I think that's a serious issue that needs to be addressed. It's not about opposition, it's not about Rahul Gandhi. Second thing, on more practical ground, what you were saying, of course, it's been put to test on Bihar. And as I said, the outcome will determine whether the issue has some potency or not. So therefore, it will be going to be a kind of referendum. Now, what opposition is doing, it's trying to put, all eggs in one basket. That is a questionable strategy. I agree with you. But it is outcome in India that determines everything. See, this vice presidential election is 4 din ki chandni. You see, this is we are talking so much about number, and the Congress could have done this, opposition could have done. It's inconsequential in so to say, in a week's time from now. Everything will settle down. And we will be back to square one.
Like that, then every
but
state
Bihar election is not
every state election. Then is it inconsequential?
No.
It's not right. The point is, in the run up to the election, when you are creating so much of Mumbai on ground, don't you want to create a certain amount of momentum? Then why disrupt Parliament? Why disrupt Parliament? Why stop business?
The entire session got wiped out over
Why wipe out the entire session? That if it will be forgotten, this session khatam ho gaya, sab bhul jayenge. Then why disrupt Parliament, Rashid?
These are not 4 din ki chandni, as Rashid ji describes it. These are opportunities to build something block by block. If you are actually thinking of, your supporters call you the shadow PM and you have aspirations for 2029, every election matters. That is how the BJP functions. One second. And I don't think we need to wait for the Bihar results to see if the vote chori narrative is actually a referendum. You just look at the number of seats RJD would be willing to give to the Congress. Yeah. If that number crosses 60, of the 240 odd seats, 60, 1/4, that means Congress is a serious player in Bihar. And I'll tell you something, Anand. Haryana was something where the Congress actually went into the election thinking they are winning the state. What happened on that morning on 8th October was absolutely unprecedented. Correct. That flip that happened around 9:30 a.m. But after Haryana, Congress never even tried to recover. I'll tell you something very interesting. You know what happened after the 2024 elections when Congress got 99 seats? Yeah. All over Delhi, posters started coming up, hoardings started coming up of aspirant MLAs for the Delhi elections, which were in February. They were confident that this is the comeback the Congress needed. From 99 seats, we'll go strength to strength. We'll go with Haryana. In Maharashtra, we'll get our alliance together, even though we're a second fiddle to the NCP and the Shiv Sena. But we'll come back to power in Delhi. Nothing of it happened. They missed out on Haryana and they just fell like a house of cards.
Sometimes you misread the winds, but in this case, look at Bihar. Bihar, the poll dates have not yet been announced, and the heat of, or perhaps the crescendo of the campaign and the effort that they wanted to put in Bihar, khap gaye, sir, already.
That is why I'm saying the number of seats will matter.
No, not just the number. All of them together in Bihar, jo mahal banaya, uske baad chutti mana ke bhi aa gaye, sir. My point is that does that mean your campaign is over even before the campaign is already begun?
That has been a problem with the Congress.
I'm just saying.
Is Rahul Gandhi 24/7 politician?
No, I'm just saying.
He's the leader of the opposition. He's characterized as a shadow prime minister. I mean, if he's not a 24/7 politician.
Please understand, sir. Please understand, sir. Go back to sir. I go back to my mass communication and advertising lessons, and one of the biggest brands was Avis, okay, and Hertz. What did Avis say? We are number 2, so we work harder. We need to, because we are the challenger. We have to work double. The point is that you can't take a break and take a chutti. You cannot, especially if you want to topple and if you want to set a narrative, you got to work double hard. It's good that both me and Zaka are being confused even with our voices and things. That means we are seamless. That's good. We'll take it as a compliment.
But what I'm trying to say, he has more hair than me.
Rahul Gandhi in the multiverse, Rahul Gandhi is a cricketing captain. He would get Shane Warne to bowl with the new ball. That is his problem. He peaks too early. He peaks too early. He always peaks too early.
There are other connotations to that. I'm not going to get there. At 10:30 in the morning, the voting process is still going on. But Dr. Ranganathan, should there not be more intent if you really mean business that you are the alternative to the NDA and to Prime Minister Narendra Modi? On the other hand, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, just days short of turning 75, September 17th, his 75th birthday, and look at the intent that he's showing. He's the first there. He's already made it clear. सबसे पहले वोट मैं डालूंगा.
Paper ballot, he's voting.
हाँ, so क्या वो तो VP polls ऐसे ही होता है, sir. वीपी पोल 400 वोट डालने में भी आपको तकलीफ हो रही है. आपको तो you want 1.4 billion people to do paper ballot and then no vote chori will happen. Then again we need to get somebody with elephantine memory about how much vote chori happened when there were paper ballots and under whose ages it was done, especially in the Congress bastions. Let's not go there. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan.
No, couple of points out here. Number one, what Rashid ji is saying that vote chori is an issue. It would have been 100 times more of an issue for me than for Rahul Gandhi or any of the opposition or any Indian, provided there was credence to the whole theory. Every allegation has been proven to be a lie or a gargantuan fake narrative. Each one of them. I mean, Rahul Gandhi saying that duplicate voters that were 20,000 helped BJP win Bangalore Central in Mahadevpura without realizing that there were 11,000 duplicate voters in Wayanad. So it is not a question that there were discrepancies or irregularities in the elections. The allegation were that EC is directly using those discrepancies and irregularities to help the BJP, which is bunkum. So the vote chori thing fell not because it wasn't happening, but because it wasn't happening to help a political party. Please realize the difference. And number two, I completely agree with Anand saying that the second party has to work harder, especially because, let's be honest, BJP, already called an election machine, has actually shifted gears in the last 1 year. मतलब अब उनको हराना मुश्किल ही नहीं नामुमकिन लग रहा है. The reason is there is freebie haywire that is going on with the BJP also having realized that yes, we were winning, but we will be certain of winning if we promise the earth. And they have not just promised the earth, they promised the moon. You look at in Haryana, where they were mocking Rahul Gandhi for saying that every agricultural produce should come under MSP. They promised the same thing. Look at Maharashtra, where they were mocking Rahul Gandhi, the Khatakat scheme, they promised the same thing. It doesn't matter to BJP right now that the states are under a cumulative debt of 90 lakh crores. It wants to win. Under those circumstances, I'm afraid vacations are out of order for Rahul Gandhi.
See, the point is also, if you're a smart politician, and as Rashid says, if you're a 24/7 politician, Rahul Gandhi, to be fair to him, for the last 7 years has been saying you need to rationalize GST, right? Rationalize the rates for the last 7 years. On the day that the government did and the days after that, why is the Congress party not putting up posters all across the country saying, thank you, Rahul Gandhi, you got the government to rationalize rates, GST rates? This is how political credit taking happens.
Yeah.
This is politics. I mean, if you're in 24/7 politics, this is what Congress Karyakarta should have been doing.
No, posters don't make you. I mean, you
whatever political credit for
look,
the government to do this.
Simple. He has done 1,300 kilometers. You are saying he has gone too early.
नहीं सर, आपने उसको गब्बर सिंह टैक्स कहा ना, तो उसके बाद आपने ये क्यों नहीं कहा कि कितने कैटेगरीज थे? सरकार 4, अब कितने कैटेगरीज हैं? सरकार 2, ये वो 2 थे.
You know who goes on yatras? Pilgrims, not politicians.
No. I think politicians are.
But I'll tell you something very interesting, Zaka. No, the Congress actually tried to give the credit of the rationalization to Rahul Gandhi. Then they were reminded of their 2019 and 2024 manifestos, where they were actually advocating for a single rate in the GST structure. And that is where the entire credit-taking exercise fell apart. They wanted to credit Rahul Gandhi, but the problem was he was always advocating for a single rate, which would have been possible in a country like ours. You may do it in Switzerland, you may do it in some European nation, but in a country like ours, you can't have a Maruti and a Mercedes being taxed at the same rate. And that is where the problem with Rahul Gandhi is. For 8 years, he's been talking about the GST, but his criticism of the GST is more to do with the ideological difference he has with the BJP, not with the economic understanding. And when people point that out, suddenly it becomes, that this is about vote chori, this is about EVMs and all that nonsense.
Right. So Tushar has to plies whereas elsewhere we are given to understand. You're most welcome to stay on with us. But Sudershan Reddy has spoken with News18. Let's listen in.
मैसेज आज का क्या है? आपका मैसेज
ऑलरेडी दे चुका हूँ. हाँ. देश के लोगों से जो प्यार मिला और जो सिविल सोसाइटी का रिस्पांस है और आप सब लोगों का जो कोऑपरेशन है, इसके लिए मैं धन्यवाद देता हूँ और मैं आप सब लोगों के आभारी.
आपके उम्मीदवार कह रहे विपक्ष में जो वो कह रहे हैं कि उनकी जीत होगी राधाकृष्णन जी की.
वो और क्या कहेंगे, मेरी जीत होगा वो कहेंगे क्या? ये भी कोई सवाल है क्या?
नहीं, आप क्या कहेंगे सर? व्हाट इज योर होप? कितने होपफुल हैं?
आई एम मोर देन होपफुल दैट आई एम गोइंग टू विन दिस इलेक्शन।
आपने पिछली बार बातचीत में कहा था कि आपकी जीत होगी, अगली बार जब आप बात करेंगे तो उपराष्ट्रपति से बात करेंगे, हमसे बातचीत में
बिल्कुल बात करेंगे, वो तो कल बात करेंगे ना। थैंक यू।
देखिए, बिल्कुल राधाकृष्णन
that conversation, Neeraj from News18 India having that conversation and saying Sudershan Reddy ji had said कि अगली बार बात करूंगा तो as vice president. So it's good to have that confidence. Will the numbers back? Now, what would you, let's ask our guests and of course Zaka, if the NDA manages 440 plus, would that be a serious victory despite them coming back, the BJP coming down more than 60 plus seats from their 303 tally? So because the last time around the numbers we put out, it was 522, before that it was 516. So this time if they get 440, will that be a significant gain despite their own numbers coming down?
What it means is that there are parties in the opposition camp or there are MPs in the opposition camp who've cross-voted in favor of the NDA candidate. Vice versa also, if the opposition number, if Justice Sudershan Reddy's number comes below 318, again it means the same thing. Certain opposition MPs have cross-voted. Now, I'm not a big fan of, things being secret, but for better or for worse, this is a secret ballot. Rashid Kidbhai, that's the process. That's how it has always been.
Vice President election is a very curious mix of conscience vote and of course, the worldly wise sort
party
of functioning
loyalties.
of party loyalties. So therefore, I will not be Zaka, I will not be personally, I will not be surprised if the opposition numbers actually come down because worldly wise, gestures make a lot of difference. But ultimately, Zaka, I mean, this is more in TV studios with due respect that what is the numbers, it's the outcome that determines everything. As long as, the NDA candidate wins over 100 votes or so, I think things are going to be fine.
You will say, can we just call up those numbers from 2022 and 2017? Jagdeep Dhankhar ji, when he won, viewers, the number was, if I remember, 522. Now, have a look at these numbers. So, it's about 528. That was the number for Jagdeep Dhankhar, and Margaret Alva ji had about 182. But this was a time when the NDA perhaps was at its strongest because of BJP at 303 and some of the others, and overall the tally was very, very strong. They also had a lot of the allies who voted and they came in, and the opposition perhaps at its weakest. Now, if we go back a little to 2017, in 2017, the BJP was at that time at 282. So, we had Venkaiah Naidu ji at 516 compared to 244 for the for Rajmohan Gandhi. Gopal Krishna Gandhi. So, Gopal Krishna Gandhi. But 516. Now, in this one, if you look at the current numbers, what are the projected numbers? And let's come to that. It's the BJP at 241, at its weakest between 2014 to now, Anand Ranganathan. And also the number of allies within the NDA, some of them stronger, some of them weaker, some of them abstaining, some of them moving over to the India bloc. So there is a reshuffle of the numbers, and perhaps this is the time when the INDI bloc looks the strongest at this point. Can we have the current projections, today's ones, if you can put those numbers? And that's the, now here if the projections are at this point, the numbers if you look at it, 437. So nearly 440 is what the NDA is projected to win. Close to 320 is where the India bloc is projected to win. So 437 and 318. If the NDA holds on to this 437, Anand Ranganathan, or inches closer, because there are 15 independents, etc., who are sitting on the fence. Now, if they swing that and if they reach 450, would you believe that this is a stronger win than 2017 or 2022?
It's a double-edged sword. I mean, it's a stronger win, and you can see over the last 1 year the kind of decisions that Mr. Modi has taken. Many are saying he appears to be stronger than what he was when he had majority, and that is a normal, I would say, human psychology, that when you have good, large, bulk support, you take decisions that you possibly wouldn't have if you did not have that support, even if you were in the majority. So, yes, I take your point, but the other fact also, please remember, is that despite unbelievable acrimony between Didi and Mr. Dhankar when he was the governor of Bengal, it was the TMC that abstained, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
So, that immediately removed almost about 80 to 90 or possibly more votes from the opposition last time round. So, 430, 450, it doesn't really matter. I agree with Shiji. I think it's a decent number. And if at all there would be a cross voting, then Mr. Radhakrishnan would win by a bigger margin.
No, it's the messaging. It's the messaging कि दो फाड़ कहाँ पे है, fissures कहाँ पे है? Is it within the India bloc or is it within the NDA? PM Modi has tweeted Zaka about the picture about him voting. He's casting his ballot and also signing with in front of the polling agents. But your thoughts on these numbers and how it plays out?
Look, like I said, the conversation that Payal and I had, I will make it public after the results come. But I have a feeling there will be significant. Like the secret ballot, it's a secret chat. But the contents of it, I promise I shall divulge the moment the results are made official.
What are the contours that you can divulge? Just repeat.
So these are fruits of power, actually.
I think that number for Mr. Radhakrishnan will be well above 450, simply because there will be significant cross-voting of opposition MPs in favor of the NDA candidate.
Zaka, these are fruits of power. So this is not surprising. Actually, any political party that is in power or an alliance government, they always have this, capability and capacity to increase numbers, particularly when there is secret ballot, when there is conscience vote, and when there is worldly wise, political parties. So it's a combination. I will not be surprised at all. But what I'm saying is, it is not going to make much difference. Of course, it will make difference if the opposition member gets more than what it is, it is expected to win. But government getting side getting more votes, I'll not be surprised.
So Rashid ji के लिए विपक्ष टूटे तो खबर नहीं है, लेकिन सरकार टूटते हैं, सरकार, if there is a fissure there, then it is a bigger story. Yes.
I think Rashid ji, with due respect, is already trying to cushion the realization that if the cross voting happens, then no doubt it would be embarrassing for the India alliance. I mean, of course, if you have, let's say, 30 to 40 votes that have gone the other side, then people have to explain why even during secret ballot, when you were expecting things to go your way,
अंतरात्मा की कमी होगी.
Still have got to check if Rahul Gandhi and Mallikarjun Kharge have turned up for voting. We'll try and get an update because they were supposed to come by 10:15. Soon after the Prime Minister leaves. Prime Minister's left about 20-25 minutes ago. Kharge ji was on his way. We have not got pictures of Rahul Gandhi leaving. But we do get to see some of the other MPs moving. There's an older picture. We got Kangana Ranaut walking past the frame. Some of the other leaders have also walked.
So the word is that Rahul Gandhi came back from Malaysia last night. So he will show up in Parliament. He will vote. When, we don't know. I mean, Congress reporters also don't know. But he will show up and he will vote because he's come back from his holiday, Rashid Kidwai.
So it's time till 5 p.m. I think it's good 6 p.m. It's good to vote early, but it's still, as long as you are there to vote, it's fine.
Okay, PM is already en route. He's left after voting. He is after posted. Now he's left for Himachal Pradesh. He's scheduled to reach Himachal Pradesh and do an aerial survey of the flood-affected areas. And by about afternoon, by about 1 p.m., he's supposed to be in Himachal. And then later on, by about 4 p.m., he's heading towards Punjab. He's going to do an aerial survey of the floods in Punjab and then address a rally and a gathering in Gurdaspur. So he's just put down a tweet where he said that leaving for Himachal Pradesh and Punjab to review the situation in the wake of floods and landslides, the government of India stands shoulder to shoulder with those affected in this tragic hour. So,
for me, the fascinating decision that the NDA made to choose Mr. Radhakrishnan, couple of factors I think were at play. Obviously, Mr. Radhakrishnan, traces his roots all the way back to the RSS. What Professor Ranganathan was making that point as well. And I think the signaling also to the Sangh was that, look, there were issues in the 2024 election. We were not necessarily on the same page. Now we are picking your guy so that, we're back on the same page after Haryana, after Maharashtra. So I think it was a signaling there, number one. Number two, for me, what was absolutely fascinating was, before you get to the Tamil Nadu election, which is middle of next year, you still have the Bihar election where, one of the allies who's holding up the NDA 3.0, this is like a do or die battle for Nitish Kumar. I mean, I frankly think, this is going to be the hardest fought election for him in the last 10-15 years that he's been in power. But the NDA has chosen to sort of, it's like Super Mario, right? You jump over the hedge, you go to the next election, because either you're confident that you've got this ally locked in and you've got this election locked in, and the opposition, where again, to be fair to Rahul Gandhi, he was there in Bihar for 15 days, right? He was in Langkawi for 4. So
Arunima has an interesting update. I'm just seeing it. She says that Swati Maliwal could be an extra vote in the NDA kitty.
Possibly.
She's an MP, so she may just...
Antaratma ki awaaz.
She may just vote.
No, so the point I was making was, the NDA went with a candidate from a state where, frankly, as of today's situation, the BJP is probably not even the top 3, top 5 parties in that state. But they're making a statement. They're making a political statement. When the Prime Minister goes to campaign next year in Tamil Nadu, he will say that, look, we have sent a son of the soil from this state to the second highest constitutional position in this country. Like he keeps saying about the Sengol, right?
But Zaka, your formulation is very high on optics, but very little on
But politics is about optics.
No, substance. No.
Sir,
I am saying
if politics is not about optics, then what is politics about?
We'll exchange notes when...
In fact, if you were to do a word puzzle, Rashid optics, in the word politics, POLITICS, the word optics is contained in the word politics.
I agree with you. But what I'm saying is, for the BJP, it is more important to have some kind of alliance or have this thing understanding with captain or something like to be relevant in Tamil Nadu electorally. It's not that candidate or victory of vice president is going to make a material difference. That's my understanding. But I think it's very important how BJP fights Tamil Nadu election on the ground.
Even if it is symbolic, and I agree with you, it might be optics, but optics counts for a hell of a lot. I mean, why are people ranting about Rahul Gandhi going off on a holiday to Langkawi? It's about optics. Nobody is saying he doesn't deserve a holiday. It's about, if you're leader of the opposition, the optics of you, in the middle of a fight, going off to holiday for 3 days, looks bad.
Not really. It's a matter of perception, actually.
I mean,
no.
What material difference does it make? Please tell me in the vote in Bihar,
look,
or in the vote that is happening
Rahul Gandhi
today.
does, whatever Rahul Gandhi does, because he's a public figure, he's a polarizing person also. There is no way that he can satisfy a lot of people. So whatever if he takes a 15-day yatra, we say he speak too early, electorally speaking, in election bound state, where you see the Congress is not a number 1 party. It is actually Tejaswi's election. We keep bringing Rahul Gandhi to the fore because Rahul Gandhi is the Congress party there since 1989 has not been in power.
Professor Ranganathan, you can please weigh in on this. Look, I'm very clear in my head. In 2029, Rashid, are you telling me that the fight is not going to be between Mr. Modi and Mr. Gandhi?
Probably yes. Yeah.
Then own up to it, na? If you're saying you're leader of the opposition, you're shadow prime minister, and leading a rally in Bihar for 16 days where you are numero uno, and then you're saying, no, it's not Rahul Gandhi's election, it is Tejaswi Yadav's election.
Come on. No. What I'm saying is that Rahul Gandhi's perception in public life, it's the people who like him, the people who don't like him. There are...
No, but that's the case with Mr. Modi also. People like him and people don't like him.
So it's all about... So he cannot satisfy, he cannot cater to... He's entitled, to my mind, he's entitled for a 4-day holiday. Why not?
I'm just asking a simple question.
If he has a busy social life, it's good for him.
Payal has just put this update. 22 trucks of relief material dispatched by the BJP Delhi government for flood impacted areas in Punjab that have already reached Jalandhar in Punjab. And Javeer Shergill, along with the district BJP president Sushil Sharma, General Secretary Ashok Sareen and others seen at the relief material control room, from where items like sandals, sanitary pads, medicines, mosquito nets, drinking water, folding beds, utensils will be dispatched to all districts impacted by floods. My question, Dr. Ranganathan, is Punjab Congress was always in power.
They are also doing it.
It was a strong thing. Should from Bihar Rahul Gandhi not have gone straight to Punjab before the Prime Minister goes there?
Yeah.
If you are looking at the optics part and saying we are far more responsive than the government of the day, and especially when you're taking somebody like the Prime Minister on and you believe that you deserve to be the Prime Minister of the country, he may go whenever he chooses to go, but I'm just saying the optics, does it not matter? That my first flight out from Patna...
I definitely agree with you. It's an opportunity missed. He should have gone to Punjab.
From Patna to Patiala straight I would have gone. I would not have gone anywhere else. I would have gone to Punjab and I would have spent 2 days or 1.5 days on ground just meeting a few people, being there before I take a break, or voted here and then taken a break. I'm just saying, planning the optics, is it not important? Is it not significant, especially when you're trying to send this messaging that I am the alternative to the current leader?
You are jealous.
No, sir. I'm not, sir. I'm looking at him. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan.
No, a couple of points out here. I think it's a fantastic discussion and a sign of our times that we've become so cynical that we right now rightly believe, it is absolutely true, that optics plays a huge significant role in politics right now, and Zaka is absolutely right about the leapfrogging the Bihar elections and choosing something in anticipation of the Tamil Nadu elections, because let's remember, of course I'm being very cynical out here, so I apologize if I'm I hurt somebody's sentiments, but the fact of the matter is that Bhupen Hazarika ji was given Bharat Ratna just before the Assam elections. You had Pranab Mukherjee who was given Bharat Ratna just before the Bengal elections. So optics does matter. It matters to Narendra Modi, no doubt about it. So this is perplexing why he's leapfrog Bihar elections, as Zaka's question is very valid. But also let me now turn to Rahul Gandhi. I'll take 30 seconds. Rahul Gandhi also believes in optics. I mean, you've seen him plowing fields, you've seen him knee deep in water, you've seen him driving tractors. But here is the tragedy. We are collectively talking about and praising people who are doing flood relief, whereas we should have concentrated more on politicians who should have implemented policies that would have prevented floods. This flood in Punjab is because of mismanagement of both center and the state when it comes to taking care of embankments, when it comes to the doors of the dams being opened at the wrong time. All those things have been mismanaged by politicians, and now they are winning brownie points through optics by, knee deep in water and distributing relief. This is the tragedy of our times.
No, that's true, but that's where
Absolutely.
again, that's where again
I think Dr. Anand is
optics.
absolutely
Totally
spot
agree.
on.
That's
Yeah.
where again optics come into play. That what was not done is forgotten, what is being done is being seen. So it's again comes back to that. It's a tragic reality. The other part is those canals that have been built and canal systems that have been built for Punjab and Haryana could have been built for other states, and had the Indus Water Treaty put in abeyance long time back, and the interlinking of rivers would happen. But we are digressing. Let's come back to what is linked to the polls today. The ballot boxes. The votes are being cast. A significant number of votes, we are given to understand, have been cast, Zaka, and by 6 p.m. till 6 p.m. this evening.
There's voting till 6 p.m. and then they start counting. Because it's paper ballots and you have to count 700 plus, 750 plus, I think it'll take at least a couple of hours. So don't expect the results before 8 p.m., maybe even 9 p.m. Before the results are finally out.
The possibility of confusion between the Reddy and Radhakrishnan. So can people stamp the wrong R and come back and say, oh no, I made this mistake? Let's ask the R in the studio.
So there is no EVM there, so there is not going to be allegation.
There are two Anands out here.
No, there is also another R in Ranganathan there. So, oh yeah.
So I think there is not going to be any confusion and all, and paper ballot is there, so there is not going to be any allegation of EVM being not functioning properly or anything like that. Yeah. I think it's going to be very simple outcome, and Zaka, I don't think counting 700 votes would require 2 hours. I think it will come much.
I think it takes a couple of hours. Anyway, we'll take a break, but our coverage continues on the other side. It's 1 hour into voting. There's another 6 plus 1, 7 more hours left of voting for the vice presidential election. Only MPs can vote, both from the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. There are 767 of them who will be taking part in the voting today.
And there's no whip.
There is no whip, so they can vote
whichever way
they want.
Antaratma ki awaaz.
So we'll take a short break, which is our Antaratma ki awaaz, but coverage continues on the other side.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Informed the cabinet meeting held on Monday decided to open social media platforms in the country. He said that the social media has been operational since the cabinet made the decision. Now that is a big update that we are getting from Nepal, where the Nepalese government has lifted the ban on social media. As we know that massive protests were organized in Nepal by under the Gen Z banner, and we are joined by Siddhant Mishra on this broadcast. Siddhant, now that the Nepal government has lifted the ban on social media, does this mean that the government is under immense pressure?
Well, government was under the immense pressure, and in fact, the scenes yesterday in Kathmandu perhaps has had put government in a lot of pressure. So initially, they said that there's going to be no revocation on the ban on the social media apps. But there was a cabinet meeting which was convened by Prime Minister Oli, and in fact, in that meeting, this decision has been taken to lift the ban on the social media apps. So the decision was taken at around 9 p.m. In the cabinet meeting yesterday, and at around 11 p.m. The applications started working. So the main point of contention, the main issue has been resolved by the Nepalese government. But first, there are other issues also, which includes corruption, nepotism. Perhaps that was also those issues were also the reasons why these youngsters came to the road to protest. So situation still remains tense. The area around Parliament and the main areas in Kathmandu have been cleared by the authorities, but in the streets and in by-lanes, the protest is still going on. So next 48 hours are going to be very, very crucial for Nepal, since a major decision has been made. The ban has been revoked on the social media applications. So whether the Gen Z group will end the protest or they will continue with the protest, they are taking forward their other demands. So that would really be interesting to see. But 19 people have lost their lives, Harsh. More than 300 are injured. Yesterday, authorities had to resort to rubber bullets and tear gas on the protesters to disperse them. So situation remains tense, and as I said, the 19 people have died. The Home Minister has already submitted the resignation. So there is still a pressure on the government when it comes to the other demands. But so far, the main issue, the main point of contention has been resolved.
Right, Siddhant. Thank you, Siddhant, for gathering all that. Now, my colleague Rahul Shankar spoke to ex-envoy to Nepal, Vijay Kant Karna. Listen in.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Informed the cabinet meeting held on Monday decided to open social media platforms in the country. He said that the social media has been operational since the cabinet made the decision. Now that is a big update that we are getting from Nepal, where the Nepalese government has...
It's all about the ballot box and the numbers. They're stacked in favor of the NDA candidate, Mr. Radhakrishnan. But one would also want to see, as the voting process is underway, whether or not there are those within the India bloc who switch over. If the NDA candidate polls more than 450 votes, that means there has been some amount of cross-voting. If the reverse happens, if the India bloc candidate polls more than 320 votes, that means there are those within the NDA who have voted for the India bloc. If Rahul Gandhi, leader opposition, along with Sonia Gandhi and Mallikarjun Kharge, the Congress president, are present there, and they will be casting their ballot one by one. The voting process is underway. It's all MPs of the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha who will come there and vote. It's only them. Comes to about a total of somewhere around 787, if my memory serves me right. We'll get to the numbers in a bit, viewers. But importantly, there is no whip. Hardeep Puri is present there. Nitin Gadkari is walking in. Anurag Thakur has come in already. So the NDA leaders showing a certain level of unity, because the polling agents are also from across the NDA parties, with the Shiv Sena, Chandrababu Naidu's TDP having representations, along with, of course, the BJP and the JDU. So there are multiple polling agents across the NDA to show the NDA unity. These are pictures of former Congress President Sonia Gandhi present there, along with Rahul Gandhi, the leader opposition, who's present there, and of course Mallikarjun Kharge, the Congress president. So they are confident that they will put up the right numbers, but will the India bloc be able to hold its flock together and have a significant number of votes to show a strength, despite the numbers being stacked in favor of the NDA currently. But can they bridge that gap? Can they narrow that gap? That's the big question. Even as some of the NDA stalwarts and tall leaders within the Modi Sarkar are also making their entry to cast their ballot. The procedure is very clear. Till 6 p.m. the voting is on, after which the counting of the ballots. It's all paper ballots because you got to sign, mark a thing, and then also cast that ballot into that ballot box, which looks similar to what we've created for our viewers here to watch. Payal Mehta is with us. Payal, Pallavi Ghosh is with us. Pallavi, what's the update? How many votes have been cast? Is it a steady flow? Are all the MPs making good time across political parties?
Well, something which we all have been waiting for, whether Rahul Gandhi is actually going to arrive to cast his vote. Well, he just has. And in fact, he just left the parliament premises as well without addressing the media. And you can see those pictures, Sonia Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, Rahul Gandhi, and of course, Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge. And also a lot of Trinamool Congress MPs are there. So the India bloc is very much there. I haven't yet got hold of the official numbers of how many people have cast their vote across party lines. But, going back, the kind of people coming in, the number of MPs coming in, it certainly has been a brisk voting. Early in the morning, the first one to do so was, of course, the Prime Minister of the country. And apart from that, you have all the plethora of the ministers, many BJP MPs. You can see, of course, people also from the other NDA MPs and ministers have cast their vote. So It seems that the first half is going to see a lot of brisk voting. And by 5 p.m., 5:30 is when there's going to be a close. And then by 6 p.m. is when the real picture begins, which is the counting of votes.
Well, Pallavi, quickly, before we go across to Tom Vadakan, Sanjeev Srivastava and Anand Ranganathan, and also Rahul Shivshankar will be joining us in the studio. Pallavi, quickly, possibilities of cross-voting. NDA seems to be confident that they will have more than the numbers that are currently projected. So if the NDA gets beyond 440, if they get up to 450, will that mean it's a bigger win? Because they would have then shown that the India bloc is fractured?
Well, apart from those who are not technically a part of the opposition of the NDA, like the BRS who are abstaining, I think what is going to be very important to see whether there really is going to be a kind of a conscience vote. It could be difficult for some of the Trinamool, the Tamil Nadu MPs, whether they are going to indulge in cross-voting. I think we'll get a clear picture. But Payal has been giving us an assessment of the government's calculation. And if you go by what figure she's put out, it is very clear the possibility of a certain amount of cross-voting cannot be ruled out.
So if that cross-voting happens, then the NDA will claim that the India bloc is fissured, there are divisions there, and it's real politics. It's also optics, viewers. And if we talk about the optics, then there is Mr. Radhakrishnan, there is Mr. Reddy, and then we have the third R in the studio now, that is Rahul.
Well, there was an R that was missing for a few days, but that R is back.
That R is also back. That's also Rahul.
That's also Rahul.
He's cast his ballot apparently, and
he just has, yes, indeed. And those are the pictures there. That's Sonia Gandhi casting her ballot. Very important moment, actually, isn't it, Anand? Very important moment, because you've been building up to this whole event on the back of something quite, at some level cataclysmic, which was the vice president sort of being asked to basically, presumably asked to go.
Whether or he decided to go, whatever, but it is unprecedented.
But it's very unprecedented and something that, of course, set the rumor mills completely abuzz and brought out once again the opposition saying that this government walks over people who show a bit of a spine, want to sort of break loose. So it's an important moment in narratives also. It's a narrative setting exercise.
Because there's another narrative that perhaps the NDA is strongest when the BJP is weakest. It's because 303 mein wo nahi kiya jo 240 pe kar diya hai.
Yes.
If you look at the last 1 year, so many things that have happened. When the NDA post June 2024 looked very vulnerable, PM looked weak, the opposition was already celebrating a victory in defeat. And look at that, exactly about a year down the line, year and a half.
Nara Lokesh was saying that we're there forever with the Prime Minister.
No, and along with sworn enemies.
That's right.
TDP and the YSRCP are on the same side in the vice presidential elections.
Amazing. That's an amazing balancing act. Absolutely amazing balancing act. Well, Anand, let me take this forward. Thank you very much. But important moment, as I said, viewers, because also in the narrative setting exercise, if this is a big thumping win for the NDA, they will say that, look, even within Parliament, there are people who support the Modi model. And there are people who want to align with the Modi model. And therefore, what is being said about our government, about our governance, is obviously a whole big gaslighting exercise. Well, viewers, we'll have to look at the numbers 385. Many people say that's going to be the halfway mark. We still don't know what two other important formations are going to be doing in this, the BSP and, of course, one northeastern party. We don't know where they're going to go. But let's open this up. I want to quickly go across to Pallavi. Pallavi, this is, as I said, an important moment, a watershed. Bihar elections looming, momentum could be built up. The narrative would suggest that the NDA is stronger on the ground, more unified. The India alliance fractured, and of course Payal is there also. Payal, how do you see the result? What do you think? Look, I'm not going to say it's foregone, but it would be tough to bet against an NDA win. May not be as big as the Dhankhar win, but certainly it will be as imposing, at least when the narrative is stretched out.
No, well, of course, numbers are not a doubt at all, Rahul, and you have to go miserably wrong to see the results go the other way around, given the fact that number calculations are clearly in favor as far as the government is really concerned. And mind you, Rahul, they've made a lot of efforts. It's not happened overnight. They've kept all the alliance partners together. They've kept them into confidence. The government flow managers are extremely confident that a lot of people will cross-vote. And, they are also making every vote really count. But, that's similarly been the narrative as far as the opposition is also concerned. For the longest, in the last two sessions, we haven't seen the likes of Sudeep Dhankhar and Jagdeep Roy really come up to the national capital because they've been unwell. But they've been brought in today to vote. But there is a big, message which is going to be there on this as well. Given the fact that the numbers are just one thing, but the Prime Minister yesterday, when he spoke, he said that many people in many countries do not want us to prosper, but we are still trying to prosper. We're trying to India needs to become Atmanirbhar, India needs to become self-reliant, India needs to focus towards Swadeshi. So, the number crunching was never a problem.
Yes.
As far as the NDA is concerned, the Prime Minister is looking at a larger growth and as a larger number as well. And in the Prime Minister's own word that CP Radhakrishnan has been his friend for the last 40 years, when both of them had black hair. And he went on to say that CP Radhakrishnan sports को बहुत पसंद करते हैं, पर राजनीति में खेल नहीं करेंगे.
Well, that's very interesting. Of course, CPR, as he's also called. Will he be giving CPR now to opposition dreams? That's the fundamental point, viewers. The opposition wanting to make this into a massive contest of a reckoning, really, perception. But the perception might change depending on the numbers. And let's open this up. Dr. Ranganathan, let me bring you in. Very good morning. Sanjeev Srivastava also there with us. Tom Vadakkan of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Dr. Ranganathan, how do you see it? Look, this is what is known as the hurly-burly of politics. This is where it all comes down to just pure numbers. And of course, numbers, you know how that goes.
Morning, Rahul, and good morning to everyone. Yes, you're right in one sense, and also true that the VP election results have always gone as expected. I mean, it's never sprung a surprise. So I don't think this time round it's going to be any different. The only surprise could be a little bit of embarrassment for the opposition if there is cross-voting, because, of course, as you know, the secret ballot, and Mr. Radhakrishnan gets more votes than what he or the NDA anticipates. It might turn out to be true. But I think the opposition has missed a trick out here, especially Rahul Gandhi. I mean, in the last 2 years, all what we've heard from him, every time he takes the mic, is that Dalits, Adivasis, tribals, SC/STs or OBCs को उनका हक मिलना चाहिए. He has even gone to the extent of berating merit in favor of choosing Dalits and OBCs. So here I want to ask the Congress or its supporters, why is it that their candidate is not an OBC or a Dalit?
That's a very valid point, Sanjeev Srivastava. Look, if it's all about optics, and politics has been defined by optics recently, optics are also called out when, for example, Rahul Gandhi decides to holiday in Langkawi and people say that that optically doesn't look good. Or when the Prime Minister goes out and doesn't visit, as many people have mentioned, Manipur. People say that, that also means optically that the Prime Minister is not concerned about the situation in Manipur. So optics matter then I think Dr. Ranganathan's question is a very valid one.
Oh, yes, Rahul. I think he has made a valid point. But I think, I don't know, but I think the opposition got, once CPR was announced as a candidate, they got into this act of South politics, and they thought of that they should get a candidate from Andhra or some other southern state, because they also had, I think, in their mind how to somehow get Mr. Naidu to change his mind or put him into a spot on the Telugu issue or whatever. So yes, frankly, what happens in politics is also, had they put up a Dalit, nobody would have talked about that Rahul Gandhi is sticking to his optics. Now that they have not, this issue is can be raised, and with a fair degree of, I think, righteousness as well. It makes sense. So optics have a role, but they have a role only up to a point. So by that logic, yes, they should have gone for it. I think the opposition has largely missed an opportunity on a different level. They should have somehow tried more to get parties like BJD, who have now no love lost with the BJP because of what has happened in Odisha. And remember, the last time the BJD voted for the NDA candidate, and this time they have chosen to abstain. If the opposition had managed to somehow persuade Mr. Naveen Patnaik and his party to come over to their side, that would have been a big moral victory for them. They would have still lost. I agree with you. You are not wanting to say that their outcome is a foregone conclusion. But it is more or less, the writing is there on the wall, and it has to be, like Payal was earlier saying, that we have to go miserably wrong. I don't agree with the word miserably. We have to go dramatically wrong if some other result happens. So that's a likely. Cross-voting will definitely happen, and I already have a feeling that that will be the talk of the town this evening once the result comes. But that is nothing very, I will not attach much significance if 10, 20 votes go here and there. That may be local compulsions, local issues. It won't really mean that NDA is much more mightier than the numbers show. And if the opposition gets for any reason, if they get more votes, it also doesn't mean that the NDA and Mr. Modi is weaker by that. This is a game, and the opposition has lost the plot before the game has started to play out in the voting.
Interesting.
The only thing which we have to remember, last point, is that, of course, everything has changed since the last VP election happened. The numbers were different. But definitely opposition will get more numbers this time than their last VP election.
Well, 384 is the required number. That's what it is. Dr. Ranganathan, you were raising your hand. You wanted to make a point.
Yeah, I was just saying this. Look, I find nothing wrong in the opposition candidate. I mean, Mr. Reddy has been a Supreme Court judge, and he's, as far as merit is concerned, I mean, good luck to him. I'm just saying, showing the mirror to Rahul Gandhi and the opposition, because they are the ones who say that, merit doesn't really matter. What matters is haq for OBCs and Dalits. So here was an opportunity. And if my good friend Sanjeev ji, who agrees with me, not for the first time, but he's saying that they got carried away by the South issue, then they could not choose a OBC and a Dalit who's a South Indian?
Yeah. No, I concede that point. My limited point was that optics are only as important as they are. They are not important beyond a point as well. So it becomes a good talking point now. Had they chosen a Dalit,
if
we would have got a talking point.
If everyone was as sane as you, Mr. Srivastava, we would have had a better politics. Unfortunately, it won't work that way. Even a 5 or 10 advantage of votes.
And a less exciting debate.
Yeah, less exactly. Well, and let me tell you, viewers, whichever way you cut this, if the opposition ends up with 10 more votes, they're going to make a mighty meal of it. Yeah. Let me tell you, they're going to say that this is a complete vote against the BJP, and we told you there are enough people there who are malcontents. Yes. And that the only reason they're not speaking up against RSS, and the only reason they're not speaking up is because they fear the ED, the repercussions, this, that, the other. And if on the other hand you have 12 or 15 votes going the other way, you're going to have a mighty proclamation from the NDA saying that, see, we told you these guys don't walk the talk, people are unhappy, They have seen through Rahul Gandhi's politics. He's a leader of opposition. He commands no respect. People don't regard him as anything much more. The Modi model wins. Mr. Modi. So let me tell you, this will be contested in the galleries. Forget about anything else. But as you can see, viewers, lots of people coming in to cast their votes. All members of parliament, of course. That's Priyanka Gandhi. The Gandhis have been coming in one by one. We've just spoken, and I'm just going to come out to you, Tom Vadakkan, because it's going to be an interesting conversation. YRCP Rajya Sabha member YV Sudershan Reddy has spoken to us, CNN News 18, and said Jagdeep Reddy is not a spineless person, that he will get scared of CBI cases or ED foisted in Congress rule. We have voted in national interest, our 11 votes crucial. We decided for NDA even before India Alliance candidate was announced. National interest, because CPR, the candidate for the NDA, has said a nationalist candidate is who I am. I'm nobody else beyond that. I'm just a nationalist candidate. And if Jagdeep Reddy is saying this, is interesting. Let's go straight across to this interview.
We are joined live by Mr. Sudershan Reddy of the YSRCP, a party which is very closely watched in the vice president elections because the 11 MPs are voting for the NDA. So a lot of questions being asked by the opposition why the YSRCP is siding with the NDA when it's not a part of the either blocks.
In the interest of the country, this is a prestigious election, constitutional highest position. Our party president has taken a decision to support NDA black candidate CP Radhakrishnan much before announcing his name itself. Keeping the view, the tradition, president and vice president's positions, one should get elected unanimously. At the time, NDA Black has not announced their candidature. That is the reason when NDA seek the support from our party, we are 11 members, both in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha together. We have extended our support to NDA candidate.
Because two other big parties, the BJD, the BRS, have decided to abstain. That is why this question is being asked.
I don't know that. Reasons you should ask them. Keeping the highest values of democracy, one should go for a voting. That's what. So, taking that spirit forward, we are going for voting and we are going to vote for NDA candidate.
As you said, the YSRCP decided much in advance. So if the opposition alliance had also maybe declared in advance, maybe things would have been different. What do you think?
We don't know. But situation has come like this. When the NDA candidature, before declaring itself, they have approached our party president.
Yes.
Though they have numbers.
Yes.
Though they have winning numbers. But they have approached us. That is the courtesy they have extended towards our party. We should also acknowledge in the same manner that is the reason our party president has taken a decision.
One comment, last one. Manikam Tagore from the Congress today commenting that Mr. Jagdeep Reddy is going with the NDA because he's fearing CBI cases against him.
Arey Baba, Manikam Tagore, first let us know the facts that CBI cases were falsely implicated by your party. We have been facing that cases for last 14 years, not now. We are at opposition. Even in opposition, even when we are in power also we are facing that cases. We never looked back. Jagdeep Reddy is not that much spineless person like your party people who have implicated by creating false cases. We have guts to face because we did nothing. All these cases are falsely implicated cases.
Jagdeep Reddy has been facing falsely implicated cases foisted by the Congress party in their time. That is what the YSRCP is saying, and also saying they had decided much in advance, even before the India Alliance candidate came, that they will vote for the NDA. The 11 votes of the YSRCP are expected to even make the margin much bigger for Mr. Radhakrishnan in the vice president elections.
Well, in fact, let's just go across to Aman for this. Aman, just paint a picture of what really are the stakes in this election.
Well, see, Rahul, one thing is very clear. There are three key parties in this election. One is the YSRCP with 11 MPs. The other is the Biju Janata Dal with 7 MPs and the BRS with 4 MPs. The BRS and the BJD have decided to abstain. So 11 MPs of theirs are abstaining. But the YSRCP with 11 MPs is backing the NDA candidate. And this is raising a lot of question marks because Jagdeep Reddy has neither been in the NDA camp nor the INDI bloc. We just spoke to Mr. Sudershan Reddy, the conversation we played out. and Congress in the morning accusing the YSRCP of siding with the NDA because they say Jagan Mohan Reddy is fearing CBI action, CBI cases against him, to which now YSRCP is giving a very, very spirited counter-attack, saying that, these CBI cases against Jagan Reddy were actually foisted by the Congress party in their term. And Jagan Reddy has been fighting these cases for many, many years.
Yeah, but they remain a Damocles sword that hangs over Jagan Reddy's head. Just hold your thoughts for 30 seconds. I want to quickly bring in the BJP's response to this. Let me bring in Mr. Tom Vadakkan. Mr. Vadakkan, is that the reason why the YSRCP is suddenly in your camp? They could have abstained, but no, they seem to have made a complete shift.
I think that was very clearly mentioned by the spokesman of the YRCP. He said that these allegations of ED and what have you, this has been going on from the Congress's time. And they are not people who are scared. And he has mentioned that this is national interest. And he had also said that their party had supported the candidature much before the announcement of the
the reason I'm asking you is it's not as if the BJP has not been associated with nationalism or even the RSS, etc. So why is it suddenly dawned on the YSRCP that nationalism must be burnished, and the only way you can do so is by wholeheartedly supporting the NDA?
Rahul, nationalism is the spirit across this country. The realization that what the Congress and NDA alliance stands for is shocking. Take the case of Andaman Islands. Now, when there is development projected there, you have an article written by Sonia Gandhi and then tweeted by Rahul Gandhi. Wherever there is development, wherever India is doing well and India plans to do well, they have problems. So it is a chronic problem with the Congress party that they raise issues which are anti-India. So this realization has crystallized into huge nationalism across the board. Now let me also go a little further. You talked about optics. Now you had a Chief Justice, not Chief Justice, he was a Supreme Court judge. Yeah. And he's photographed with Lalu Prasad ji. What kind of a message is he sending? There were his brethren who supported him. And where are they? They have not said a word. And then remember what the Home Minister had pointed out. On the Naxalite issue, what was his positions and what position he took against the Naxalites? So these are issues that people are thinking. And these are issues which will be discussed. And then Reddy Garu talks about the soul of democracy. I don't know what soul he is talking about, whether it's a huge soul or a human soul. See, when you mix with people, and Lalu Prasad is not even a voter.
Look, fine. Lalu Prasad obviously has been convicted, not a voter, not even in parliament, as you said. But Jagan Mohan Reddy has been called all sorts of things by the NDA. You just have to look at what Chandrababu Naidu has had to say about him over the last 2 years. And suddenly, being in your camp, he seems to have become a whitewashed leader. I mean, I do find this slightly jarring. But look, I'm going to take a very short break and I'm going to pick up this thread with you and the guests in just a few moments, because this thread of hypocrisy, viewers, runs across the board. Let me tell you that. We're right back.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Informed the cabinet meeting held on Monday decided to open social media platforms in the country. He said that the social media has been operational since the cabinet made the decision. Now that is a big update that we are getting from Nepal, where the Nepalese government has lifted the ban on social media. As we know that massive protests were organized in Nepal by under the Gen Z banner, and we are joined by Siddhant Mishra on this broadcast. Siddhant, now that the Nepal government has lifted the ban on social media, does this mean that the government is under immense pressure?
Well, government was under the immense pressure, and in fact, the scenes yesterday in Kathmandu perhaps has had put government in a lot of pressure. So initially, they said that there's going to be no revocation on the ban on the social media apps, but there was a cabinet meeting which was convened by Prime Minister Oli, and in fact, in that meeting, this decision has been taken to lift the ban on the social media apps. So the decision was taken at around 9 p.m. In the cabinet meeting yesterday, and at around 11 p.m. The applications started working. So the main point of contention, the main issue has been resolved by the Nepalese government, but there are other issues also, which includes corruption, nepotism. Perhaps that was also those issues were also the reasons why these youngsters came to the road to protest. So situation still remains tense. The area around Parliament and the main areas in Kathmandu have been cleared by the authorities, but in the streets and in by-lanes, the protest is still going on. So next 48 hours are going to be very, very crucial for Nepal, since a major decision has been made. The ban has been revoked on the social media applications. So whether the Gen Z group will end the protest or they will continue with the protest, they are taking forward their other demands. So that would really be interesting to see. But
viewers, voting is underway in what is being billed as a big contest between the NDA and the UPA in the run-up to the Bihar elections, a sort of dipstick really in trying to set the narrative ahead of that massive election. Both sides will hope to wrest the momentum, the initiative, hopefully come out with some talking points that will enthuse their cadre on the ground as they go into that election. Of course, two very different kinds of exercises. One is an election that is conducted wholly by members of parliament, and the numbers for both candidates, the golden number is 384. Whoever gets 384 or more wins this particular election. As of now, one has to say that the NDA's candidate, CPR as he is called, the governor of Maharashtra, Mr. Radhakrishnan, is heads and shoulders above his India bloc rival, Mr. Reddy, Justice Reddy rather. And viewers, as things stack, there is a lot of talk about cross voters and cross voting. Remember, this election is held without a whip being issued to anyone. So it's a conscience vote, and therefore MPs can legitimately cross vote. And that's what makes this contest interesting, because it tells you who really commands the attention of the House. There might be parliamentarians who, obviously fearing repercussions, fearing disqualifications, may not want to vote alongside their political party, because they might think the other side is making a better point, has connect with the public, and therefore they don't want to be seen, of course, as working against that alliance, that bloc, or that particular party, or that particular leader. But viewers, as this contest plays out, there's another contest, and I'm going to come back to our guests in just a short period of time. But I have to take some breaking news. There's another contest of a very different, violent kind taking place on the streets of Nepal. Following violent protests that left about 19 dead and over 300 injured yesterday, the Nepalese government has lifted its own order banning internet. But viewers, that hasn't stopped the public from hitting the ground again. These are live pictures from Kathmandu, and what we are hearing now is that there have been a number of attacks that have been taking place against government officials. In fact, we are being told that at least 2 cabinet ministers, their homes have been targeted. People are restive. They're in unforgiving mood. The Oli government, Prime Minister Oli's government, that's the individual. That's what he looks like, the Prime Minister there. His government, which is, let me put it in context for you viewers, a very pro-China government, by the way, wants to put distance between Kathmandu and New Delhi, wants to cozy up to Beijing, is facing the wrath of the public because of allegations of widespread corruption, allegations of dominance which crushes dissent, and worse, in trying to also curb the freedom of expression by policing the internet. And this has brought masses of people out, viewers, as they see their government is not representing their interests. I want to go across to Siddhant. Siddhant, what's the update that you're getting?
Well, that's right, Rahul. 2 of the ministers in the Oli government have submitted their resignation to the Prime Minister. In fact, they both have told us that they have resigned on the grounds of morality, as 19 people have lost their lives. Situation still remains tense. In fact, the curfew is still in place in Kathmandu. In fact, as you rightly said, some of the senior ministers and former prime ministers' residences have also been targeted by the protesters. And what we could understand, Rahul, at this point in time is that protesters are on streets, and with each passing hour, there is a pressure increasing on Prime Minister Oli to resign. But what we are picking from people close to Prime Minister Oli is that he is not ready to resign, and perhaps he's going to continue as the Prime Minister. And till the time he will continue as the Prime Minister, this protest will continue. So yesterday, the ban on social media platforms was revoked, but that had very little impact on the ongoing protests, because protesters have to say that it was not only about the ban on the social media platform, but it also has to do with corruption, with nepotism in the government, rising unemployment, cost of living, etc. So they say there are a lot of issues, and the Oli government has failed them miserably in last couple of years. So the protest is against the government. So right now, situation is tense as far as Kathmandu is concerned. In fact, Indian government has also come up with a statement, Rahul, and the Indian government has, Indian government says in the statement that we hope that all concerned will exercise restraint and address any issues through peaceful means and dialogue. Right. In fact, Indian government also advised Indian nationals in Nepal to exercise caution and adhere to the steps and guidelines issued by the Nepalese authorities. So Indian government is monitoring the situation in Nepal very, very closely. And Rahul, this was in the making from a very long time. In fact, in February, we saw pro-monarchy campaign against the government. In fact, there was a demand for the return of monarchy in Nepal, because people feel that democracy has failed them. And there have been more than 18 governments in last 20-25 years, if I'm not mistaken. So, that is the level of, that is one of the reasons for the frustration and the anger of people against the government and the politicians. Also, one of their demands, Rahul, is that now the baton needs to be passed on to the new generation of leaders, coming up in Nepal, because these are the old veterans who are running the country, and the young generation feel that they are unable to handle the crisis. They are unable to manage the country. So the baton needs to be passed on to the new generation. So, this was in the making, Rahul, from a very long time, and now we're getting to know that 2 ministers have already resigned, and pressure is mounting on Prime Minister Oli to tender his resignation.
But that doesn't seem to be the only demand. I mean, even if Oli does step down, that doesn't really mean, Siddhant, that the government redeems itself in any way, because the accusations are fairly deep and they cut across many different cabinet members. There is talk that a large number of these individuals have been caught with their hand in the till or have their hand in the till, and worse, that they've all colluded to suppress the real aspirations of the people. Also, I just want you to paint a little bit of a background on Mr. Oli's own relationship with New Delhi and Beijing in that context. Siddhant, are you there?
Yes, that's right. So, Rahul, as far as Mr. Oli's relationship with New Delhi is concerned, perhaps he visited China first. There is no doubt about it. In fact, he was there at the parade in Tiananmen Square. He is definitely cozying up with Beijing. And in fact, what I have been told, perhaps this is something which has not been confirmed to me by the officials, but what I have been told, that he was asking for a time to visit India from a long time. But, you know, because of the differences and because both sides not being able to come to the on one page, perhaps his visit was not possible. And in fact, he was expected to visit India next week, but that also got postponed. So definitely his equation with New Delhi was not great, Rahul. New Delhi always looks at him with somebody who is cozying up with China. In fact, the strategic experts here, the think tankers, they all believe that he's somebody.
Siddhant, just hold your thoughts, because we're getting indications that Prime Minister Oli is likely to resign. They've already been buffeted by 3 resignations from among his cabinet. Home Minister Ramesh Lekhak, important member obviously, has quit. Agricultural Minister Ramnath Adhikari has also put in his papers. Pradeep Paudel, the Health Minister in the Oli government, has also put in. So these are weighty portfolio holders, and they've all thrown in the towel, saying that, look, we want to distance ourselves from this government that is made of kleptocrats, according to some individuals, nepotists and authoritarians. So you're seeing basically 3 ministers go. There might be others who want to quickly cauterize this and distance themselves from the crackdown. The crackdown yesterday that claimed almost, viewers, 24 lives, and that's a big number in a small country. It's a big number of youth, and many people have been accusing the government of having the blood of innocent children, youth on their hands. Many people have been taunting the government for using the kind of tactics that you're seeing, because this protest was initially peaceful and then suddenly something changed. The government thought that they'd got too close to government buildings and decided to push back the protesters, which resulted, as it always does, in skirmishes. We don't know, of course, if some of these protesters or protests had been infiltrated by other elements, sometimes, viewers, to justify a crackdown, sometimes to also impose curfew or emergency. So a lot of scenarios. New Delhi taking a distant view, saying that we hope that peace prevails, that both sides work out some sort of a solution via media. But that's going to be difficult given the scenes that we're seeing and the fact that the youth, Gen Z as they brand themselves, are not backing down. They have continued their protest for a second day. It's going to lead to repercussions. They're going to force the hand of the government, and there's going to be more clashes. You can already see tear gas shells being fired, mild lathi charge. And we've been also been speaking with higher-ups in the Nepalese government, Nepal minister. We've just spoken to one, and the situation is very precariously placed in the mountain kingdom, in the Himalayan kingdom, and it appears that KP Oli, the Prime Minister, might actually be contemplating stepping down. Now, this would mean further instability. Let's go straight across to Mr. Ramnath Adhikari for more on this. Mr. Adhikari, yes, what's the latest? What's happening?
आपने रिजाइन कर दिया है सर?
मैंने राजीनामा दिएको छु।
अच्छा, आपने राजीनामा दिया है?
राजीनामा दिएको छु मैले प्रधानमन्त्री कहाँ पुगेर राजीनामा दिन सकेको छैन मैले सामाजिक सञ्जाल मार्फत राजीनामा दिएको घोषणा गरेको छु
ओके तो आपकी पार्टी का अभी भी सपोर्ट है सरकार को या नहीं है
अरु सब कुरा मलाई जानकारी छैन मैले नैतिकताका आधारमा राजीनामा दिएको छु सर मैले यति मात्रै बोले
अच्छा तो क्या अब आप चाहते हैं कि प्रधानमंत्री भी राजीनामा दें इस्तीफा दें
थप कुरा म नगरौं
हाँ जी
म थप कुरा नगरौं
अच्छा और आगे आपको क्या लगता है कि ये जो सरकार है ये बचेगी नेपाल में
धन्यवाद म संघीय लोकतान्त्रिक गणतन्त्र प्रति विश्वास गर्ने एउटा कार्यकर्ता नेपाली कांग्रेसको कार्यकर्ता भएका कारणले संघीय लोकतान्त्रिक गणतन्त्रको संस्थागत विकासका लागि लाग्छु हालका लागि मैले राजीनामा दिएको छु
Well, let's go straight across to Anand. Anand, you're getting some updates.
Siddhant has just spoken, and this is a CNN News 18 exclusive. Ramnath Adhikari, we just heard him. He has spoken in a mix of Nepali and Hindi, but he has said, I have given my Razinama. And this is soon after the Nepal Home Minister. So there is clear fissures within the Nepal government, and that means there is pressure on KP Sharma Oli also to resign. And this is despite the social media ban being removed. But the protests are still on. It looks like matters have reached a tipping point, a boiling point, and things have spiraled beyond KP Sharma Oli's control. And we are seeing a Bangladesh redo, Rahul, in the region. So another region, another nation within the subcontinent that now sees perhaps an overturn of the elected government or the incumbent government because of protests spiraling onto the streets and led by youth. So there are a lot of boxes which are being ticked vis-a-vis what happened in Bangladesh, although the situation is different. And within Nepal, there has been pro-monarchy protests which have happened over the last month and a half or 2 months. Nepal has been constantly in protest mode for various reasons. Here it seems like Ami Nepal, which is a non-governmental, non-profit organization which was leading these protests and which was organizing these protests. It was supposed to be a peaceful gathering. The central government had given, Nepalese government had given permission for these protests, but things spiraled out of control because the authorities did not realize that there's going to be such a huge turnout. And the social media ban perhaps just was the final nail or the tipping point for the protests to burst onto the street. Now we are given to understand there are alternative candidates like Mr. Deoba, Sherbadur Deoba or Aruba Deoba, his wife, who could perhaps be the alternative candidate, and there could be a toppling of the government, the incumbent government, the current government in Nepal. Matters coming to a head in Nepal, and there are geopolitical signs. Many experts have pointed to a clear Western influence, given perhaps the growing Chinese influence in Nepal, and also a certain level of returning to roots within Nepal. There was a sentiment that they wanted to go back to its Hindu roots, its Hindu Rashtra, and also bring back the monarchy. So multiple narratives that are flowing, and there will be those who will dip in and try and profiteer from it. And these protests, which seemingly were inorganic or perhaps organic, now could be taken on, and there would be others who would then come in and appropriate these protests towards their political gain. So these are also developments that are happening, and where, of course, there is the other dynamic that have social media and big tech firms become so strong and so influential that they can topple governments. Those questions also being raised. But social media played a huge role in Nepal beyond just communication and dissemination of information. It was also a means of livelihood. Although it's just 1 or 2 days that these apps have been banned. So should the protest spill onto the streets because of that is another logical question that's being asked, Rahul. Multiple layers, but unprecedented situation here, and things are not in the control. It's very unusual for an army to shoot at people point blank on their foreheads. 13-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds have died because of shooting by the authorities, by the cops, by the security forces. Now,
well, no doubt.
प्रदर्शन है, लोग सड़कों पे हैं। हाँ, यहाँ की सीनियर जर्नलिस्ट हैं जो कल पूरे प्रदर्शन में यहाँ पर जाबाजी से रिपोर्टिंग कर रही थी। एंजिला हमारे साथ यहाँ पर मौजूद है। आप कल के बारे में बताइए, कल की और आज की स्थिति में क्या फर्क मिल रहा है? थोड़ा चलते चलते हुए आइए।
नहीं, वो क्या है कि कल का भी स्थिति तो यही था, लेकिन इतना नहीं था जो
हमने सोचा है, जो अनुमान किया था, ऐसा हालत नहीं हो सकता है। लेकिन क्या है, यहाँ के सरकार फिर दमन कर रहे हैं, दमन कोशिश कर रहे हैं। यहाँ के प्रधानमंत्री वो इस्तीफा के खिलाफ में है। तो कल तो यहाँ के गृह मंत्री रमेश लेखक ने इस्तीफा दे दिया, लेकिन प्रधानमंत्री का इस्तीफा का इंतजार में अभी का जैन जी का आंदोलन है, वो इस्तीफा के लिए वो मन नहीं कर रहे। बिल्कुल इस्तीफा के वो इस्तीफा से गलत तरीका से चल रहे हैं, वो दमन कर रहे हैं। जब दमन करेगा तो विस्फोट।
आप कल कहाँ फंस गए थे? आप कहाँ से रिपोर्टिंग कर रहे थे कल?
मैं मेरे घर से निकल के मैं रिपोर्टिंग किया था। वो कोशिश है कि वहाँ से भी पुलिस ने फायर किया था।
देख रहे हैं यहाँ पे एंजिला, यहाँ पे आग लगा रखी है। ये कौन सा इलाका है? ये किस तरफ रूट जाता है? देखिए वहाँ भी मेरे कैमरा से जरा दिखाएंगे, आप बोलते रहिए।
ये
तस्वीरें दिखाएंगे।
ये बुढ़ा नीलकंठा एरिया है, जहाँ शेरबहादुर देवा अभी का जो कोलिशन गवर्नमेंट है, नेपाली कांग्रेस का सभापति शेरबहादुर देवा के इलाके मानते हैं ये एरिया, और अभी का परराष्ट्र मंत्री आरजू देवा का इलाका है। इसके लिए वहाँ के घर शेरबहादुर देवा और परराष्ट्र मंत्री के घर में भी आग लगा दिया है जैन जी ने। और आज का आंदोलन का नाराज ये नहीं कर सकते हैं, लेखा जोखा नहीं है, क्या हो सकता है इसमें, क्या क्या है। अब फिर नेपाल की सरकार और नेपाल के गवर्नमेंट इसको सही तरीके से नहीं लाते हैं, एड्रेस नहीं करते हैं, तो इसके लेखा जोखा हिसाब किताब कोई
हमने देखा है। जो लेखक थे, जो यहाँ के गृह मंत्री हैं, कल उन्होंने नैतिक जिम्मेदारी ली, कांग्रेस के बड़े लीडर है और उन्होंने इस्तीफा दे दिया। फिर सूचना प्रसारण मंत्री को यह ऐलान करना पड़ा कि जो सोशल मीडिया पे बैन है उसे हटाया जा रहा है। कहीं ना कहीं सरकार को बैकफुट पे आना पड़ा, लेकिन बहुत देर से आया जब 20 लोगों की मौत हो गई, 18 से 20 लोगों की
नहीं, ज्यादा है। यहाँ सिर्फ काठमांडू का 20 का आकलन है और आंकड़ा है, बाहर काठमांडू के बाहर की सड़क में 20 से ज्यादा भी है। हो सकता है संख्या धीरे धीरे बढ़ रहा है। इसके लिए वो जोश में है, जो जांगर में है, वो आक्रोश में है। युवा लोग बहुत आक्रोश में थे, आज से बहुत आक्रोश में है युवा लोग। आप देख सकते हैं रोड में टायर जलाकर आंदोलन को आगे आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं। घर नेता के घर तोड़फोड़ कर दिया है। इसके लिए आज का आंदोलन का लेखा जोखा हिसाब किताब कोई नहीं है।
ये बताइए जेनजी, ये रिवोल्यूशन जो है, इसको क्या कोई लीडर कोई संगठन लीड कर रहा है कि ये आम लोगों का है, ये आम सिटीजन का है, युवाओं का है?
इस बार के आंदोलन क्या है कि बांग्लादेश मॉडल में जा रहा है। इसमें नो लीडर है, नो पॉलिटिकल पार्टी, नो एनीबॉडी। सिर्फ वो जेनजी का मीन्स वो युवा का संख्या का एक दर है, जो कि 18 तो 25 तक 28 तक वो युवा वो बोल रहे हैं कि कल मैंने भी इंटरव्यू लिया था कि आपका लीडर कौन है। वो बोल रहे हैं हम जो सड़क में है, जो रोड में है, वो सारे लीडर है, वो सारे अध्यक्ष है।
तो देखिए बिल्कुल ये यहाँ की जर्नलिस्ट हैं, यहाँ की जमीन से ये बहुत अच्छे से वाकिफ हैं, और कल किस तरह से पूरा घटनाक्रम रहा, किस तरह से लोगों की मौत हुई और उसके बाद से कैसे लोग जो हैं वो सड़कों पे आए, प्रदर्शन किया, उसकी ये चश्मदीद हैं। आज भी हमारे साथ हैं, हम पूरे दिन हमारे साथ ये रिपोर्टिंग करेंगी, हमें उस हर जगह पे ले जाएंगी जहाँ पर कि कल हिंसक झड़पें हुई, जहाँ पर कि आगजनी हुई, गोलीबारी हुई और उसके बाद लोगों की मौत हुई।
Well, let's very quickly, viewers, give you a bit of a backdrop of what really is transpiring. There has been a huge public backlash to the government of KP Oli. KP Oli, viewers, is a communist leader. He is part of the boss, really, of the Communist Party of Nepal. He is someone who came to power very consequentially on the back of difficult relations between Kathmandu and New Delhi. This, I'm talking about, dates back to about 2015, 2016. And it is at that time where he forged his reputation as someone who stood for the autonomy, strategic autonomy and otherwise of Nepal. Let's go back to the ground and get
नेपाली कांग्रेस भी कर रहा है। नेपाली कांग्रेस का खासकर शेखर कोइराला वाला जो मंत्री है, शेखर कोइराला का कैंप के जो मंत्री सरकार में शामिल है, वो अभी इस्तीफा के लिए तैयारी कर रहे हैं। वो प्रधानमंत्री निवास में इस्तीफा लेकर अभी प्रधानमंत्री के कार्यालय में है।
ये बताइए, प्रधानमंत्री निवास की बात कर लें, राष्ट्रपति आवास की बात कर लें, वहां पर किस तरह के अभी क्या प्रदर्शनकारी वहां पर भी मौजूद है, और जो यहाँ के मेयर हैं वो पूरी तरह से प्रदर्शनकारियों के सपोर्ट में और सरकार के मुखर विरोधी हैं। हमने देखा उनकी जो उनके ट्वीट वगैरह से।
हाँ, नहीं, वो क्या है कि बालेन शाह नेपाल में वो इसी स्टाइल से आया कि दिलचस्प स्टाइल में आया कि नेपाली राजनीति में वो दल ने इतना वो भी नहीं किया था, कि वो इतना ख्याल भी नहीं किया था कि ऐसे स्टाइल में बालेन शाह आएगा। बालेन शाह के यूथ का जो है ना, यूथ उसने इतना सपोर्ट कर रहा है कि उसको आगे बढ़ाने के लिए, आगे लाने के लिए उसको बहुत कोशिश कर रहा है। इसके लिए मेरे ख्याल में बालेन शाह को यूथ ही सपोर्ट कर रहा है।
आगे आज राजनीतिक क्या हलचल रहने वाली है काठमांडू में, कैबिनेट की, सरकार की आगे क्या रणनीति रहेगी? देखिए सोशल मीडिया पे जो बैन है उसको हटा लिया गया है, कर्फ्यू जो है वो अभी लगा हुआ है, लेकिन हम देख रहे हैं सड़कों पे अभी भी लोग अपने घरों के अंदर हैं, आम रोजगार बंद है, दुकानें बंद हैं, प्रदर्शनकारी अपनी मांगों को लेके हैं। सुना अस्पताल में भी कुछ पत्रकारों के साथ, कुछ लोगों के साथ मारपीट की गई।
नहीं, सिर्फ जैन जी का नहीं, कल तो पत्रकार को भी हमला किया था ये गवर्नमेंट ने, तो आज से पत्रकार भी रोड में है। सिर्फ जैन जी का नहीं है, आज का आंदोलन का लेखा जोखा नहीं है, इसमें युवा बार नहीं है, इसमें कोई ही नहीं है। तो आप देख सकते हैं ना वो
बिल्कुल यहाँ के ये यूथ हैं, उनसे हम यहाँ पर बात करेंगे जो यहाँ के यूथ हैं, और एंजिला हमारे साथ यहाँ पर है, ये लगातार अपनी बातों को लेकर यहाँ के यूथ हैं, इनसे बात करते हैं। आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगे? हम लोग देखिए यहाँ पे काफी लेडीज भी हैं यहाँ पर। मैम, हाँ, हम लोग दिल्ली से हैं, नेशनल चैनल से हैं। आप अपनी बात रखना चाहेंगी? आप यंगस्टर हैं, आप लोग ही सड़कों पर हैं।
आप लोग करेक्ट ब्रॉडकास्टिंग ही नहीं करते।
मैम आप अपनी बात रखिए। आप क्या कहना चाहते हैं? आप नेपाल के सिटीजन हैं।
ओके, आई विल स्पीक इन नेपाली।
हाँ,
तपाईहरु करेक्ट हेडलाइन नै राख्नु हुँदैन। यो प्रोटेस्ट खाली सोशल मिडियाको मात्र होइन, दिस इज अगेन्स्ट करप्सन। ऑल द नेपो बेबीज आर लिभिङ, या अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट, एवरीथिंग। सो इट इज नॉट लिमिटेड टू ओनली सोशल मीडिया बैन। ओके,
तो मैम आगे आपकी स्ट्रेटेजी क्या रहेगी आप लोगों की?
इन्फॉर्मेशन लीक गर्नुहुन्न कि जान्छ?
देखिए बिल्कुल एंजिला, हम देख रहे हैं प्रदर्शन जरूर कर रहे हैं, कैमरे पे शायद नहीं बोल पा रहे हैं, लेकिन अपनी बातें, लेकिन अवाम तक, सरकार तक जरूर ये अपनी बात पहुंचाना चाह रहा है, इसलिए सड़कों पर है।
नहीं, वो देख सकते हैं आप, वो 22 साल की उम्र के, 18 साल की उम्र की बच्चा लोग आंदोलन में शामिल हो रहा है। इस देश में क्या है कि अभी भ्रष्टाचार सरकार को खिलाफ में जाकर, भ्रष्टाचार सरकार को शट डाउन करके, नई सरकार, नई संविधान निर्माण करके नेपाल को नई दिशा देना चाहिए। तो अभी का जो नेपाल कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी का प्रधानमंत्री केपी शर्मा ओली है, वो अभी भी जिद्दी कर रहे हैं, वो हट कर रहे हैं, वो त्याग नहीं कर रहे हैं, वो ये बात को नहीं मान रहे हैं। इसके लिए देश आग से जल रहे हैं, ये काठमांडू शहर नहीं।
हमने देखा था कुछ टाइम पहले भी यहाँ पर ऐसा ही प्रदर्शन हुआ था, ऐसे ही लोग सड़कों पे थे। क्या ये उसकी दूसरी तस्वीर है? ये
नहीं, इससे पहले आप देख सकते हैं, इससे पहले नेपाल में आंदोलन हुआ था 2-3 महीने पहले राजशाही की मांग लेकर। अभी भी वो आंदोलन तो है, लेकिन वो आंदोलन का मकसद, आज का आंदोलन का मकसद क्या है? भ्रष्टाचार सरकार के खिलाफ है। संविधान, वो अभी का संविधान जो है वो वो संविधान टीयर करने वाला है। और दूसरी चीज क्या है, अभी का जो जेनरेशन वाला नेपाल में
This is News18 Network. India's largest news network.
Informed the cabinet meeting held on Monday decided to open social media platforms in the country. He said that the social media has been operational since the cabinet made the decision. Now that is a big update that we are getting from Nepal, where the Nepalese government has lifted the ban on social media. As we know that massive protests were organized in Nepal under the Gen Z banner, and we are joined by Siddhant Mishra on this broadcast. Siddhant, now that the Nepal government has lifted the ban on social media, does this mean that the government is under immense pressure?
Well, government was under the immense pressure, and in fact, the scenes yesterday in Kathmandu perhaps has had put government in a lot of pressure. So initially, they said that there's going to be no revocation on the ban on the social media apps, but there was a cabinet meeting which was convened by Prime Minister Oli. And in fact, in that meeting, this decision has been taken to lift the ban on the social media apps. So the decision was taken at around 9 p.m. In the cabinet meeting yesterday, and at around 11 p.m. The applications started working. So the main point of contention, the main issue has been resolved by the Nepalese government. But first, there are other issues also, which includes corruption, nepotism. Perhaps that was also those issues were also the reasons why why these youngsters came to the road to protest. So situation still remains tense. The area around Parliament and the main areas in Kathmandu have been cleared by the authorities, but in the streets and in by-lanes, the protest is still going on. So next 48 hours are going to be very, very crucial for Nepal. Since a major decision has been made, the ban has been revoked on the social media applications. So whether the Gen Z group will end the protest or they will continue with the protest, taking forward their other demands. So that would really be interesting to see. But 19 people have lost their lives, Harsh. More than 300.
Thanks a lot for staying with CNN News 18. We're getting you the latest on the Nepal situation, which is spiraling out of control as it seems. Widespread protests continuing, despite the fact that the government withdrew all of its notifications of regulations over social media and messaging apps, which means that the bans that came into effect have been lifted. But 3 senior ministers in the Nepalese cabinet have resigned. The unrest shows no signs of easing. Top government sources are blaming foreign NGOs for fueling the protests, which they say are driven by multiple factors. There are rumors of Prime Minister Oli's possible resignation, but sources close to him insist that he will stay, saying resignation is not the solution. They emphasize that past efforts have been made to manage the crisis and Oli won't allow external forces to install a favorable government. Meanwhile, India has called for restraint and have issued advisory for Indian nationals in Nepal. Ritesh Tripathi is a senior journalist from Kathmandu joining us live. Ritesh, the situation politically seems to be spiraling out of control. Do you feel this government could be in danger?
सरकार की सुरक्षा के बात तो बाद में है. अभी जो आक्रोश लोगों में दिख रहा है वो काफी ज्यादा है, क्योंकि कल का जो घटना हुआ है वो भयावह था और लोगों के साथ जो ज्यादती हुआ है, खासकर जो बच्चे उसमें भाग ले रहे थे उनके साथ, वो लोग निहत्थे थे बच्चे और शांतिपूर्ण ढंग से अपना बात रख रहे थे, प्रदर्शन कर रहे थे, उनको अंधाधुंध गोली मार दिया गया और 19 लोग उसमें जान चला गया. इसको लेकर अब जो है ये आंदोलन जेनजी का नहीं रहा और एक तो विषय इसमें आ रहा है कि सोशल मीडिया को बैन कर लेके इसको ये प्रोटेस्ट शुरू, ऐसा नहीं है. नेपाल में जो है यहाँ के लोग रोजगारी नहीं होने की वजह से बाहर जाना पड़ता है काम करने के लिए और युवा का पलायन का एक बहुत बड़ा सिलसिला है. वैसे ही यहाँ पे भ्रष्टाचार काफी ज्यादा है. इस तरह के मुद्दों को लेके जो है लोगों में आक्रोश है, उसका यह प्रस्फुटन है. सोशल मीडिया तो एक तो इमीडिएट कॉज रहा, उसका कोई खास महत्व तो नहीं रखता. मुख्य विषय है कि सरकार जो है भ्रष्टाचार को बढ़ावा दे रही है, ऐसा लोगों का मानना है और मंत्री लोग जो है वो लोग अपने डिपार्टमेंटल जो उन लोग का सेक्टर है उसको हैंडल ठीक से नहीं कर पा रहे हैं और उसमें करप्शन का मात्रा बढ़ गया है, यह लोगों का मानना है.
तो अगर ये करप्शन और गवर्नेंस इश्यूज ही रीजन है, सोशल मीडिया बैन एक तरह से ट्रिगर रहा है इस प्रोटेस्ट के लिए, तो ये पूछना भी लाजमी है कि ये अभी क्यों हो रहा है प्रोटेस्ट? करप्शन और गवर्नेंस इश्यूज का जो गुस्सा है वो अभी क्यों निकल रहा है? ऐसा क्या हुआ पिछले दिनों में कि इतने मैसिव प्रोटेस्ट प्लान हो रहे हैं?
नहीं, ऐसा ये जो असंतोष है ये लोग किसी न किसी बैनर को लोग खोज रहे हैं. जैसे कि इससे पहले राजावादी का जो आंदोलन हुआ था उसमें भी आम लोग जुड़ गए थे, जो इसको खास करके राजावादी दलों से कोई मतलब नहीं है, फिर भी लोग आ गए थे सड़क पे, क्योंकि लोगों के अंदर एक तो सस्टेनेबल रीजन है कि हाँ सरकार गलत कर रही है, सरकार हमारी सुनवाई नहीं कर रही है और देश को सही दिशा नहीं दे पा रही है. नेपाल जो है करीब करीब 2 दशक का सशस्त्र द्वंद्व से गुजरा हुआ है और द्वंद्व के बाद जो है उसका बाद का जो लगभग 7-8 वर्ष का पीरियड रहा वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन मेकिंग का रहा. तो अब तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बन चुका, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बना हुआ भी 10 साल हो गया और 10 साल में जो स्टेबिलिटी आना चाहिए था, जो आर्थिक ग्रोथ होना चाहिए था, जो इम्प्लीमेंट बढ़ना चाहिए था, वो कुछ नहीं हो पाया है. सरकारें नहीं टिक पा रही है. सरकारें जो है आपका क्या कहते हैं संयुक्त सरकार बनता है और एक साल भी पूरा नहीं कर पाता है, कभी यह अवस्था होता है। हालांकि पिछला सरकार तो एक साल पूरा कर चुका है, इसका आयु है। और बहुत सारा अननेचुरल पॉलिटिकल प्रैक्टिसेस हो रहे हैं नेपाल में, जैसे कि नेपाल का पहला दल, जो सबसे बड़ा सदन का दल है वह, और जो प्रमुख प्रतिपक्षी है, दोनों साथ में मिलकर गवर्नमेंट चला रहे हैं। ये कहीं नहीं होता है। तो इस तरह का जो अननेचुरल पॉलिटिकल प्रैक्टिसेस है, उसके कारण लोगों में जो है गुस्सा है। ठीक है, आपने दो बड़ा दल मिलकर भी बनाया हुआ है, तो उसका नतीजा भी दिखना चाहिए। उसका नतीजा स्वरूप आपका आर्थिक ग्रोथ दिखना चाहिए, आपका यहाँ पे स्टेबिलिटी दिखना चाहिए, और थोड़ा सा फिजिकल कंस्ट्रक्शन का काम वगैरह दिखना चाहिए। कुछ नहीं हो पा रहा है। और टैक्सेशन इतना हाई है, आप, मुझे लगता है साउथ एशिया में सबसे अधिक से टैक्स यहाँ पे नेपाल के लोग तीर रहे हैं, जबकि यहाँ का जीडीपी ग्रोथ कोई खास नहीं है। महंगाई बढ़ रही है, रोजमर्रा के चीजों के लिए लोग को ज्यादा पैसा तीरना पड़ रहा है। इन सब चीजों को लेकर काफी आक्रोश है।
और लोग ये भी कह रहे हैं, रितेश जी, लोग ये भी कह रहे हैं कि आप देखें क्रोनोलॉजी, तो पाकिस्तान में पहले इलेक्टेड गवर्नमेंट को गिराया गया, बांग्लादेश में हमने देखा है कि इलेक्टेड गवर्नमेंट के अगेंस्ट प्रोटेस्ट हुए, श्रीलंका में पहले उससे हुए हैं, और अब नेपाल में हो रहे हैं। तो लोग कह रहे हैं कि ये एक ऑलमोस्ट पैटर्न बन रहा है इंडियन सब कॉन्टिनेंट में। तो उसको लेके भी क्या कोई कंसर्न्स है नेपाल में?
जी, ऐसा विश्लेषण किया जा रहा है, और इसे सतह पर देखने पे दिखता भी है। लेकिन इसके पीछे का कारण जो है वह सिर्फ वही नहीं हो सकता है, क्योंकि ग्राउंड रियलिटी यह है कि लोगों में असंतोष है। तो असंतोष रहेगी तभी तो लोग उसमें अपना दिमाग लगा पाएंगे, बाहरी तो या फिर कोई इसमें खेलने वाले लोग हो तो असंतोष तो है। असंतोष काफी स्तर पे है और बहुआयामिक है, जिसका यह उदाहरण है। आज का सिचुएशन यह है कि काठमांडू का हर एक चौराहा, हर एक गली में आज जो है प्रोटेस्ट हो रहा है। महिलाएं निकल पड़ी है, छोटे छोटे बच्चों को लेकर लोग, महिलाएं निकल पड़ी है। और राजनीतिक दलों का जो छोटा छोटा इकाई कार्यालय है, बड़ा कार्यालय होता है, और किसी पर्टिकुलर एरिया में एक कार्यालय है, वो सारा जला दिया गया है। नेकपा एमाले के जो अध्यक्ष है केपी शर्मा ओली और प्रधानमंत्री, उनके निवास के आगे अभी भी गोली चला है। जैसे कि मैं आपसे बात करने से पहले जुड़ रहा था, वहां पे प्रोटेस्ट हो रहा है। पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री शेर बहादुर का निवास में आग लगा दिया गया है। इसके अलावा जो गृह मंत्री हैं यहाँ के, जो राजीनामा दे चुके हैं, उनके निवास में भी आगजनी हो चुका है। बड़ी दलों का पार्टी कार्यालय आंदोलनकारियों के कब्जा में है, और संसद के लोग जो है, दूसरे दल के लोग राजीनामा देने शुरू कर दिए हैं। तो एक तो बहुत बड़ा हंगामा खड़ा हो गया है, और इसका कारण ये नहीं लगता है कि अब जैसे कि पाकिस्तान में हुआ, फिर बांग्लादेश में हुआ, और यहाँ भी हो रहा है।
तो आप कैसे देखते हैं कि सरकार जो एलिगेशन लगा रही है कि इसमें बाहरी फोर्सेस का हाथ है, आप उस एलिगेशन को कैसे देखते हैं?
नहीं, सरकार जो है, पहला उसका अपना क्लियरिफिकेशन ये रहा है कि हम लोग जो है पब्लिक एसेट्स को बचाने के लिए फोर्स का यूज किया, बल का प्रयोग किया। लेकिन वैसा नहीं है। क्या वो लोग नुकसान कर रहे थे? 4 कुर्सी टूट जाता, उसमें ज्यादा नुकसान हुआ कि होता कि 19 लोग मारे गए, उसमें ज्यादा नुकसान हुआ। तो ये जस्टिफाई नहीं हो पाया। तो अब नया बहाना फिर वो लोग नेक्स्ट ले आए कि इसमें घुसपैठिए आ गए, आंदोलन में अराजक तत्वों का प्रवेश हो गया, जिन्होंने आंदोलन को अराजकता की तरफ ले गए, और यह माहौल बना बोल के सरकार दूसरा भाष्य यह सृजना करना चाह रही थी, वो भी नहीं स्टेबल हो पाया। तो अब कह रहे हैं कि बाहरी तत्वों का इसमें हाथ है। तो ये सारा का सारा अपना स्टेटमेंट पे लोग कायम भी नहीं रह पा रहे हैं। तो सरकार काफी कमजोर हो चुकी है, और केपी शर्मा ओली का जो प्रवृत्ति है वो थोड़ा सा तानाशाही किस्म के है। इससे पहले भी लोगों का जो जीवन का मूल्य है उसका उपहास करते आए हैं वो। चाहे 72 आज से 10 साल पहले जब मधेश आंदोलन हुआ था, तो उसमें लोग जब मारे जा रहे थे, तो उन्होंने कहा था कि पेड़ से 2-4 आम गिरने से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है। लोगों ने उसके बाद शांतिपूर्ण जो है एक चेन बना के सड़क पे प्रदर्शन किया, सैकड़ों किलोमीटर लंबा चेन बनाया, मानव श्रृंखला। उसको उन्होंने कहा कि ये मक्खियों का श्रृंखला है। तो ऐसे जो है आदमी का जो मानवीय मूल्य का जो अवमूल्यन करते आए हैं, इस बार भी किए हैं। जिन लोगों ने जो अपना आंदोलन का घोषणा किया, उसको लेकर उन्होंने कई उपहासपूर्ण स्टेटमेंट दिए। तो लोगों के प्रति है कि आदमी जो है जिम्मेवार नहीं है, और ये आदमी जो है ठीक से भावनाओं को नहीं समझता है, और यह असंवेदनशील व्यक्ति है, तो उसका गुस्सा भी है।
There is though a very serious concern over the nature of these protests that we are witnessing in various countries in the Indian neighborhood, which is that a lot of them are violent. They're of course mass based, but a lot of them are turning violent against those who occupy seats of power. So we saw this in Pakistan, you know, people's houses, ministers' houses, others, ministers themselves, or those in party or of power, etc. were targeted. We've seen this in Sri Lanka when the economic crisis had worsened. And then of course in Bangladesh as well, we had seen Sheikh Hasina's house being raided by so-called protesters. The nature and the manner of protests is coming under question. And Ritesh ji, आपको भी लगता है कि किसी भी प्रोटेस्ट को अपनी एक वैलिडिटी बनाए रखने के लिए और एक मॉरल हाई ग्राउंड बनाए रखने के लिए नॉन वायलेंट होना जरूरी है, और ये रास्ता बहुत जरूरी है यहाँ पे प्रोटेस्टर्स के लिए नेपाल में भी?
जी बिल्कुल, इससे सहमत होना ही पड़ेगा, क्योंकि आप जब शांतिपूर्ण ढंग से अपने बातों को रखते हैं तो आपके पास एक तो नैतिक बल होता है, लेकिन जब आप वायलेंट हो जाते हैं तो वहां पे नैतिक बल समाप्त हो जाती है। लेकिन बात यह है कि इस बार जो लोग आंदोलन के लिए सड़क पे उतरे हैं वो लोग ट्रेंड राजनीतिक दल नहीं है। वे लोग किसी प्रशिक्षित कार्यकर्ता को सड़क पे नहीं उतारे हैं, न ही उनका संगठन है।
बट तो उसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप वायलेंस कर सकते हैं ना, चाहे पार्टी के हैं या नहीं है। यही चीज तो मैं बोल रही हूँ, हर जगह जो सारे प्रोटेस्ट हुए हैं वहां पे सब कॉमन मासेस का ही प्रोटेस्ट कहे गए हैं, लेकिन उसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप वायलेंट हो जाएंगे या किसी को अटैक करेंगे, पब्लिक प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी। गुस्सा मैं मानती हूँ, बट द लेजिटिमेसी ऑफ द प्रोटेस्ट दैट यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट गोज डाउन इफ यू सी वाइड स्प्रेड वायलेंस लाइक दिस।
नहीं तो एक क्या है कि जब आप जो आंदोलन का स्वरूप शुरू में रहा कल, तो शुरू में विद्यार्थियों ने क्या किया, इससे शुरू किया जाए तो बात समझ में आएगी। शुरू में उन्होंने नाच गान किया, गाना गा रहे थे, ताली बजा रहे थे, और एक तो आंदोलन को शांतिपूर्ण ढंग से कैसे ले जा सकता सारा काम वो लोग कर रहे थे। उसके बाद पार्लियामेंट के आगे जाके उन्होंने प्रदर्शन शुरू किया और गेट के ऊपर 2-4 लोग चढ़े गए। उसके बाद सत्ता में रहे लोगों ने उसके बाद बल प्रयोग शुरू कर दिया। जैसे ही बल प्रयोग शुरू हुआ तो उसका रिएक्शन हुआ। तो आंदोलनकारियों का जो आपको दिख रहा है कि उन्होंने पब्लिक प्रॉपर्टी को क्षति किया या फिर कुछ दिख रहा होगा, तो वह जो है रिएक्शन में हुआ है। ये नहीं कि पहले उन्होंने शुरू किया है, यह राज्य की तरफ से हुआ है। और राज्य